What's up, kids? Smoking Tire Podcast. How y'all doing? Before we get into this one, we got to talk about a couple quick things. How about Continental Belts? You've heard about them on this show for a couple of weeks now. We are happy to have them. Think of all the weird things you can find in cars, and I'm not talking your garden variety, petrified French fries, or your melted crayons. I'm talking about live snakes, bizarre trinkets, the kind of stuff that makes you wonder about, folks. Another thing that'll make you wonder, but in a good way, are Continental Belts. Bet you didn't know they're OE in tens of millions of Chrysler, Dodge, Ford, and GM vehicles that roll off the assembly line. They're also OE on the majority of BMWs and Volkswagens. Now, Continental is launching the aftermarket multi-V belt with the OE pedigree. It's their OE Technology Series. Belts that are fanatically engineered for perfect fit, form, and function. And Continental has an OE Technology Series multi-V belt for 98% of the vehicles on the road in the US and Canada. Hey, you get enough surprises working on cars and trucks, a belt should not be one of them. Go with the Continental OE Technology Series multi-V belt, the belt with the OE pedigree. To get the full story, visit oetechnologyseries.com. That's oetechnologyseries.com. Oh man, how about this? Right now, I am drinking a delicious cup of Beeline coffee, but not any Beeline coffee. This one's got my name on it, folks. The Roasted Tire 2.0 is the result of a collaboration between yours truly and Beeline Coffee. I love their coffees, but I've been working back and forth with Beeline for like over a year now, I think. And this is the second generation of the Roasted Tire. You can tell the difference on the label because the first version had my Mustang on it. The next version has my Safari 911 on it. This one is from Honduras. It's a very high altitude blended roast. It's a medium roast with a medium to full body. Sort of a light medium roast with a medium to full body, if I'm honest. But like, I love coffee, and this coffee is so delicious. It's amazing. Code TST at BeelineCoffee.com will get you 15% off anything in the store. Anything at all. 15% off. Using that code TST. Check out the Roasted Tire 2.0. Check out the espresso blends. There are other blends like the Weiss Watch Company blend. I think there's a Turner Motorsports blend. It's like all of our friends get a blend. It's great. But mine is my favorite. BeelineCoffee.com. And stay tuned at the end of this show, the last few minutes, to check out some discussion about the awesome news in the collector car world from our friends at Haggerty. And now, this is going to be a good one. Bisi Ezerioha is one of my favorite people in the automotive tuning world. He's a maniac. He gives himself extra challenges. He always takes the most difficult routes to get to problems. He doesn't just drop an LS in anything. He takes like the least loved engines and makes them make a zillion horsepower. I drove his center drive Cayman. It was really, really fun. But you know, Bisi is so good in long form. He's so passionate and so smart and so good at explaining topics. He's a really good teacher, and he does his own Tech Tuesdays on his Instagram channel, which are actually really fun. But anytime I get to hang out with Bisi, it's a treat. And here he is in studio with us, Bisi Ezerioha on the Smoking Tire Podcast. Smoking Tire Podcast on a Wednesday afternoon. Hello, everybody. I am slightly brain damaged from 8 days in Europe, so forgive me if I say stupid shit. I just recorded a podcast in Studio B about watches, and I'll be honest, it wasn't my best performance. I mean, it's not a bad show, and it's funny, but I just like got lost a bunch of times because I couldn't do a show. Bisi Ezerioha in the studio. What's up, my brother?
Hello, sir. Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. From vacation.
Yes.
Back to the real world.
Yes.
You don't strike me as someone who like takes a lot of vacations.
No, vacation,
you don't, right?
That's a bit alien to me.
You can't? Can you like? But that's because of your personality, right? That's not because you're like.
I really love what I do.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like crazy work.
That's
for
good.
me. And it's just I'm at the office every day. I'm a bit of a workaholic.
Yeah.
I know how it feels. Like if you can't sit on a beach for 3 hours, right?
No, impossible. Absolutely impossible.
What if you were on a vacation where you had activities? Could you do like hiking the Appalachian Trail or something like that?
If it was fairly technical, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, fairly technical?
Yeah.
And you go like space camp?
There you go. Now that I like.
Is your idea of vacation
There you
like an engineering seminar somewhere?
That'd be fantastic.
Oh, Heidi must love that shit.
Oh, yeah.
She must be about that. Man, how are you?
I'm great, sir. Thank you so much. And it's great to be here.
Oh, dude, it's good to have you. You're like family now.
I appreciate
You are.
that.
This
is Olive Garden.
It is. It is. Unlimited breadsticks, bro.
There you go.
We do it. With our new lighting in here, it's all this softness. It's really good. Thanks, Zach.
Would you like to buy a $40 bottle of rosé?
I haven't seen Zach in like 3 weeks either.
I was in Europe, just a different part, but not that far from you.
Yeah, Zach was like 500 miles from me on the other side of the world
in France.
France, doing Drive on NBC Sports, and I was on vacation. I went to the Nürburgring though, and it rained. Do you want to talk about some sketch shit?
Yeah.
The Nürburgring is the slickest paved surface I've ever been on in the wet. It's unbelievably scary.
Is it the tarmac itself is polished too much or like too smooth?
The racing line is so like rubbered up, and there's so many buses and all these people that just drop whatever, it's not in the dry, it's fine, but in the wet it is so I'm talking about you can't go the speed you would go on a road.
Wow.
Like normal road speed is too fast.
Is it just a combo of like rubber and then oil from thousands and thousands of cars every year?
And like, there's trees and needles and stuff. So, there's leaves that come down on it. And wow, scary. And
I mean, it's a gnarly track road in dry. It's way narrower than you think.
But never participated in anything speed-wise.
So the thing you really have to do, if, it's so intimidating to be there. It's obviously being in the town, it's like whatever. But but when you're going, I'm gonna drive on the Nürburgring.
Right.
Like it's such a different mindset from just any other racetrack. It's not like you show up at Buttonwillow and you do a couple of sighting laps and then you're at pace. You're fine. This is
it's one of the few tracks. One, you can't see the entire track, and even big tracks like Watkins Glen, you can't see the entire thing, or Le Mans. It's longer than Le Mans. You can still kind of you get when you go into Watkins, you go in through a gate, and you get the sense of like, all right, the whole track is here and here.
I'm in the infield.
Yeah, Nürburgring, it's like you go down this road a couple of miles, take a right at this house. It's like directions around an area.
There are 3 towns inside of the Nürburgring. Whole towns. Like, there's people who live inside the Nürburgring, have nothing to do with the Nürburgring. Nothing.
It's amazing.
There's like a farmer. Like, there's a guy with a farm inside the Nürburgring. He's growing cows and shit. And it's so big. And it just never ends. So everything about it is as awesome and scary and as everything says. So I did a shout out to RSR Nürburg. You pretty much just show up. They've got cars. You rent them. They have a safety briefing. You get instructors or not if you don't need them. But I took one, and you go out and you have a good time. And then me and Thaddeus did the ring taxi in the wet. So this was after we drove.
Wow.
And we both got off the track and went, oh, yeah, that was fucking sketchy, dude. And then we went out with Ron Simmons, who's the owner of RSR Nürburg, has 25,000 laps.
Wow.
And by all accounts, is a complete psychopath. In a good way. Good psychopath. He's a fun guy. We hung out with him, and he drank a lot later.
He's the guy, right?
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
If you want to go and learn to drive it, you go to him.
So Renault Megane was too much for me in the wet, and I was like, nah. We go on an M3, and he decides that he's going to really, he's going to show us what's what. The good news is Thad had a 360 GoPro. So I have 360 video of it, and I will be posting it.
Awesome.
That's the good news. And my facial expressions are sheer terror. I only enjoy it now that it's long over. I did not enjoy it during the time. It was really, he was drifting a lot. He was sliding a lot. The walls were very, very close. I never was like, we're going to die, but he was going real fast. It was shocking.
One of those things where you're with a pro and you trust that you're not going to crash? But without the comfort factor, no.
In the dry, yeah. In the wet, no. That's
Really?
the difference. I don't know. You ever go out with people in the wet where it's like you just... It's not that I don't trust the driver. I don't trust the tarmac or the tires or anything in the wet. I trust nothing.
Yeah, it's too many variables anyway.
It's just like you always seem like you've got it until you don't.
Right.
That's a great point.
You know, and you always.
Anytime something's gone wrong for me in low friction was when I was trying too hard, but I always thought I had it, and then I hit a curb. Or then I hit something. You know?
Yeah. And I don't want to give away, but we spun. We did not make it around all the way without spinning.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's on video. You'll see.
Wow. Was he like, whoops?
He was a professional who was well aware he was on video. We laughed it off. We chuckled it because the rain scares everybody off. So if you're lapping in the rain, even on a tourist session, it's like 2 cars are on track instead of 150, right? So we spun and then we just drove out of it and continued, and it was fine. But like, it was like at the end when we got out, we finally got off, you know, we put the cars away, we crack a few fucking beers, and he was like, it was really, really slick out there, huh? Because that was abnormally slick.
That's like a test pilot getting back, and you're like, it's like that plane's real fast.
Dude, it's exactly what Lee said in VIR when it was raining. I had the ZL1, and I was like, dude, this is fucking scary. And he's like, no, I got this, we're good. And then we're done. He's like, that was shady as fuck, huh? Shit. Anyway, that's the Nürburgring.
Not what you want to hear.
That's the Nürburgring. Tell me about building some horsepower is busy. I don't know. Do we want to? Last time you were on the show, we did the full life story version. Let's talk about what's happened in the last year. I drove your minivan and your blue Porsche, and since then you've built like 1,000 horsepower Hyundai Tucson. And
yes, we had this Santa Fe.
What is the point? What? Yeah. I saw it in the shop. It's ridiculous.
I wanted something to really push the limits of the team and I of what we can do, and so we took this 200 horsepower front wheel drive.
Was it a 4-cylinder?
It was a 6-cylinder,
okay,
but it made like 230 thereabout.
Yeah.
And that's unacceptable. So we were having lunch, and it was the team, one of my interns, and we're talking like, what would be really cool to do? We have this Genesis that's back there that makes 1,022.
Oh, which was the coupe, right?
Yeah, the coupe, which is great, and we did a bunch of half-mile stuff with that, which is awesome.
What did that run at the half? Do you remember?
It did a 178. 178.
That's pretty stout.
Really scary up top. So I have some videos up on YouTube.
Aero scary?
Yeah. The rear end started getting really light.
So they're not made for that.
No.
What was like the original top end on that thing? Like 125 or something?
If even that.
That's so funny.
So, if you go on my feed, on the BISIMOTO YouTube feed, you'll see a video of it. And I had one of the, a media guy who didn't believe, said, BS, this is not possible. I said, come jumping with me. And he's like, oh my God. You can hear his reaction in there. It's really
That's crazy. So for comparison, like a Porsche 918 Spider, which is like a real fast car, like, or a Veyron will do 175.
Understood.
So that's where he's talking about 178 in a Hyundai Genesis, which is very, very crazy. So
we want to eclipse that 1022, and let's do something really absurd.
It's outside.
Let's go ahead and
it's not. It's the fridge. That sound. The replacement fridge. I'm sorry, Biggs. It sounded like there was feedback in the headphones. It's just the thing. Okay, so you wanted to beat 1,000 horsepower.
Yes.
Sorry, buddy.
So the great thing is our friends from Hyundai. They're all for it. They're diehard. They don't know how we do it, but they wanted us to. So instead of exploring something you explored with the Odyssey minivan, with front wheel drive, and it makes a lot of power and it's pretty much useless without good adhesion.
It was really good at burnouts.
Yeah, it was good at burnouts.
At like 80.
Any speed and any gear.
We want something that can really take advantage of what physics provides us, where you have this opportunity where you launch and weight transfers to the rear. Let's get some adhesion there. So we had a bright idea of converting it to rear-wheel drive and using the same type of components that exist in the Genesis, using the Genesis gearbox, using a 3.8 engine opposed to the 3.3 came with.
But you're changing it from transverse to longitudinal.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what did the interior end up looking like?
Great
did it have
question.
One?
It was very important to us to look factory. So by
you
all
left
means,
the factory interior?
Yes. So if you look at it, we did
Tim, can you find a picture of that?
We did a very slight modification to the tunnel. but all the factory interior components went back like OEM.
Right, so you had
it
like
looks
in the
OEM.
probably like in the middle of the rear seats or something, right? You had
It
to like
wasn't so
make a little
bad.
tunnel.
You know, the cool thing is that chassis was designed
You
for
just
both.
Google Hyundai, just Google Bisimoto Santa Fe.
Yeah, and you see
you'll
it.
find it.
Or Santa Fast. You see
Is that
it.
what Santa
There's
Fast?
a little nickname we give
Okay.
it, Santa Fast, which is pretty crazy. So that being said, those chassis come in two configurations, in front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. So it has a little advantage with a slight tunnel cavity. So it wasn't so bad to put a proper gearbox.
But you had to
in there.
expand
Sorry, I
it,
just
I'm
chuckled
sure.
at the picture of it. It's just, is that a render?
That's a
That was a render.
But it really does look like that.
Yeah,
Wait,
you may find a video where we did this crazy burnout.
we can't play videos,
you can't?
unfortunately. Yeah, no,
that's
it's like
sad.
licensed. That's the
Well,
real
that
thing.
right there, you can see the photo with shooting flames
there you go.
underneath, and that's
Oh my
That's
God.
it. That's
Yeah.
a fucking photo.
Yeah.
It's
What?
It's shooting
Just
fire
shooting fire
Yeah, from
down.
underneath.
out the bottom.
No, in normal BC
That's
fashion.
awesome. That's so. It's doing a massive rear-wheel drive burnout while shooting fire from like apparently just header dumps.
Yes. Who needs exhaust? That's rubbish.
Is that
Dump underneath.
optional fire or is that standard fire?
That's proper. Well, every time we anti-lag.
Oh,
to
it's
get
anti-lag.
to get
Uh-huh.
the spool up a little bit nicely.
But
especially
is
when
that the
burnout happens.
exhaust or is that the
Exhaust.
fire coming
It's
out of someone
exhaust.
else?
Both exhaust and
Waste.
also the dump tubes for the wastegate. So
Right.
you have two different fire.
Oh my
I would say
God.
origins there.
I haven't seen you in like 5 years. You have not changed.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So it echoes like the van probably, huh?
It's so awesome.
The van
It sounds
really
but you know
echoed.
that van, which reminds me, I brought something for you.
Oh no.
This
Is that a Hot Wheels
is
van?
the Hot Wheels of the Odyssey.
Oh,
No way.
awesome.
So you were so kind enough to
Thank you. Hot
to
Wheels
drive
Odyssey.
experience it. Yep.
And I mean, as you know, I am a Hot Wheels and a Honda Odyssey enthusiast.
Ah,
I
even
owned an
better.
Odyssey and I loved it.
Beautiful.
I did.
beautiful.
I
Now
love-
you own another one.
Now I have another one. Thanks, Busy.
My pleasure, sir. My pleasure.
So did you have to hammer out the tunnel just to
Yeah,
make
so it
room for
wasn't
the
so
gearbox
bad.
and everything?
So like I was mentioning before, since the chassis has the capability of both front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive, there was a slight cavity from factory. So we just had to massage it slightly to fit the larger gearbox from the Genesis.
Oh, cool.
R spec. So,
So
and-
this one, can you put power down without things exploding?
Yes, you
Oh,
can.
cool.
And we use as many factory components as possible. For example, we use an aqueous rear end.
Oh yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that
which
works.
is very nice. So, but we had to do, of course, a custom drive shaft to make everything work together. So
Right,
it's a really
right.
cool, fun car.
Did the
Really
Equus
nice.
rear end bolt up?
Nothing bolted up.
Nothing bolted
Yeah,
up.
we
So
had to
stock pickup
nothing.
points were
Yeah,
useless.
Yeah, they were absolute rubbish. So we had
Okay.
to create quite a few items for stability and integrity in the rear. But
Huh.
Whoa.
it's so awesome. I really derive pleasure in making the cars look very OEM.
It's a manual or automatic transmission?
Manual.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I convert to manual, so it has
So
three pedals and all that good stuff.
Santa
Did you
Fe
actually-
Drift Day.
Yeah, did you actually take the Genesis apart and put it back together under the Santa Fe?
No, we did a total one-off project. We
Oh, okay.
started
cool.
from scratch.
'Cause
But
I didn't see
quite
the
a bit.
Genesis at the shop.
I got rid of her.
Oh.
Yeah, they discontinued the Genesis Coupe, and there was no need to. I have too many cars.
You
I have
do.
to thin out the herd,
He's-
Matt. It's really bad.
He'd moved to a bigger shop since we went to see him, but he doesn't actually have any more workspace. He just has more cars just parked.
Because it was a tight fit before, but it was a small shop.
it's still tight with.
He's like hoarding 911
times.
shells. He's got like half a dozen 911 shells in there, and
I have to.
Those are good.
I know,
Yes.
I know. I wanted to see. So you've got that that Honda Insight.
Yes,
that,
that's my drag car.
Yeah, so it runs 9-second quarter mile without a
9
turbo.
No turbos, full unibody. That car was an awesome proof of concept because, as you may know, Matt, when we first met, we had a great discussion about this. I'm not a contrarian, but I love
No, you like
looking
a
for
challenge.
opportunities, where others typically don't. So
You like a fish out of water kind of car, it seems like.
that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Even when I first laid eyes upon the Insight on the roadway, I'm like, that is a perfect drag car. I mean, look at the coefficient of drag. You look how it looks. Look at the cam effect on the rear end. It's perfect. Full aluminum. It's one of the cars that, from what I gather from the team at American Honda, it's one of the chassis they actually lost money on.
I
when
wouldn't
they
be
sold it to me.
surprised at all
Yeah.
if they lost money on
So,
those cars.
but it was just a marvel of engineering, and all it needed was to be mated with some proper power.
Yeah, all it needs is triple the horsepower.
There you go.
But you know what's interesting about that car? I saw it sitting at the shop.
Yes.
You haven't raced it in quite some time,
It's
right?
been 2 years now, actually.
Yeah, I think I mentioned, or I thought some comment on your Instagram or something, that it should be reconfigured as a half-mile car, and I wanted to see what it would run in the half-mile, and you were like kind of about that, and I wanted to see if you had given any more thought to that plan.
I have. Gearing would kick my butt. I've done so much with gearing on that. I do want to drag a little bit more because Matt, believe it or not, I've really scratched the surface with that engine. in that power plant. I've barely scratched.
So tell the folks what the actual engine is. I don't know. It's been, if we talked about that, it was years ago.
Something that our grandmother would drive. The engine came from a 91 Accord.
Really?
Yeah. It's an F22A. At the time, 0 aftermarket support. So it was once again a proof of concept engine for me. I wanted something where there was no aftermarket support at all. And from scratch in-house, we'll design everything and show the potential of what we can do as an engineering company. And believe it or not, we went from a 130 horsepower engine to now 430 to the wheels. With atmospheric pressure to my advantage.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
But so you have to build like head, throttle body,
everything was
custom
designed
pistons,
in-house.
everything like that.
So
stock block, I assume that's the only thing left.
So the casing is factory, but of course we had to sleeve the block itself because I have a much larger bore. Rods, pistons, valve train, camshafts, cam gear, induction header, everything was one-off and designed in-house.
So what does it rev to?
I love you.
Why? Why do I just? I ask the important questions.
You asked a great question. So factory 6200. What do you think I took it to?
11.
Oh, you guys are good.
And it's not the
guys are
not a Spinal
good.
Tap
Is it
joke.
11?
It's 10.8.
Wow,
Yeah.
I bet it's awesome.
Because I just knew that he would get to 10 and go, not quite enough.
Yeah,
No.
Now, it does scare me to take it that far because I know what happens to valve train components after 8,000 RPMs.
Yeah.
I know how they look. But nonetheless, it's what I have to do to be able to extract the power.
So how many times can you run that without having to rebuild the valve
That's
train?
Great question. I am big on reliability. So even when I ran that vehicle for season after season after season, I only rebuilt the engine every other season.
Oh,
which is
okay.
great.
That's
we're
good.
known for that. I mean, one thing that we're known for at BISIMOTO is really building reliable stuff because I tend to over-engineer everything.
Your engines work.
Thank you.
We have not.
Thank you.
We've had no issues
Thank
with the
you.
engines.
Appreciate
They've
that.
always.
Thank you.
They've always been
Thank you.
total fucking crazy.
We had a little bit of a fuel smell issue in the 911. That was different, but the engine
remember that.
got
Well, yeah,
that
that's,
work.
the problem with filming sometimes is no one builds a car. Something that is extreme will not be happy with the floor it for 3 corners, now idle for 3 minutes. Now floor it for 3 corners, now idle for 3 minutes. Actually that problem of the fuel cavitation issue, which we had in your car, I ended up having in my Mustang as well.
Oh, interesting.
Because I got a fuel pump for the Mustang with the plan of possibly going forced induction, but I never actually did it.
Understood.
But it ended up with the same problem where it actually boils the tank, in the fuel in the tank.
Yes.
We were sitting, it happened, I was sitting, Zach was with me and we were doing flybys with this blue crazy 76 Carrera, and I'm hearing dong, 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 dong. What the fuck is dong, 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 dong? And it turns out it was the fuel boiling in the fuel cell. That's can't be safe.
Well, if we had been using all the fuel like flat out, and the engine was burning as much as the pump was pushing in, would it then have been okay?
No. There's so many things that can cause a fuel to overheat. One, at that time, I had a fuel pump more than what I required.
Yeah.
So that fuel goes in the engine system, gets heated by the engine, comes back without consuming it. Plus, I have this beautiful heat exchanger known as a radiator in the front, dumping heat into the tank as well. So there's so many opportunities
there's a
for
radiator
heat.
right in front of the fuel cell. Yeah.
Since then, based upon your experience, because you know me, I'm one who I take criticism very constructively. If there are opportunities for me to improve, I love it. After my interaction with you, I created a Deadhead fuel system in it.
So what is a Deadhead fuel system? It only goes one way?
Only goes one way. So my regulator is pre-engine, and the only fuel that goes in the engine bay is what's being consumed.
Oh, so you actually have a loop.
I had a recirculating before.
You have a recirculate.
That's what I had before initially.
Does it still now recirculate, but not through the engine?
Yes,
and then it has like an offshoot to the engine?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. It recirculates at the regulator, which is a distance away from the power plant now.
Can you buy a system like that, or do you have to build that system?
I don't know if it's commercially available, but I built it. I actually learned some of that from the Dodge engineers. Which
that's
is
like a really good idea.
Yeah, thank you. So
he always comes up with the best solutions.
Because otherwise the fuel pump sends the fuel to the engine. If you don't use it, it gets heated up, has to go back out the overflow or whatever, for lack of a better term, right? And then it keeps getting pumped and pumped and pumped.
So wait, I want to go back to your insight for a second. So we had, Steve Dinan. You ever met him
of
from
course.
BMW guy?
I've never met him, but his reputation precedes him. He's been around for quite a while.
Yeah, he's a genius. So he was in here a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about when he builds these engines, he typically builds engines that are restricted by racing rules. So you're allowed to use this size throttle body and this size, exhaust and this blah, 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 this set of pistons. But like, everything else, you know, is is open.
Right.
So he creates these really bizarre things. He was talking about creating a vacuum underneath the piston, so that there's no air getting compressed down there.
He's very clever.
Just little bits of tricks all over the place. So, but you don't typically build engines that are for in drag racing. You weren't in a class that had regulations. But did it have regulations for the engine?
We had regulations for the engine.
So what did you have to deal with?
I had to deal with weight because they put weight penalties on me, displacement limitations as well. At one time, I couldn't be bigger than 2.5 liters. Above and beyond that, we had fuel requirements as well. So you couldn't run all these crazy exotic fuels that are available now to some of the drag race communities. We had spec fuels at the time as well. And especially since we had to get very creative with traction, we had limitations on suspension. So I had to use factory pickups. I couldn't do any kind of crazy stuff. Nothing hydraulic.
There were a lot of I didn't realize there was this many restrictions in this. What was the class?
It was called Pro Stock for us, or All Motor. Pro Stock or All Motor. And what's interesting is I had to be very clever to be able to extract more power and go faster. So I'm the guy who would put manometer sensors all over my car underneath, do some racing down Carlsbad Raceway when it existed, look for pressure differential areas under the car and terminate my exhaust there to help me with scavenging. Or I'll play compression. 18-to-1 is not very...
18-to-1?
18-to-1 compression.
Is that what that car runs?
That is what I ran initially. I started getting to some...
So the compression was not restricted?
No.
So you could just run some crazy... Would that thing even idle?
Oh, yes. See, dynamic compression is the key. So if you run a big enough camshaft, you can get away with pretty crazy static compressions. And as you keep playing with things, you can notice that there's some more power to be gained as you go higher and higher. The challenge that I came across with, especially with those Honda engines, is in the combustion chamber. I guess because they're econoboxes, there's not much dedication to consistency. So if I made a piston design or had one made that was perfect for one compression and one cylinder, in a different bore, it would contact. So I'm the kind of guy who would have to massage pistons by hand.
Were you allowed to use like billet blocks or any of that kind of stuff?
They weren't available, and if they were, they'd be quite cost prohibitive. So at the time, no. Wow. No billet blocks.
But still, like fucking 450 horsepower out of 2.5 liters.
430. It's really awesome. And
very cool.
Here's what's interesting. For years, I've had to deal with like crazy things when racing. Before my 2.5 liter engine with the F22, I drag raced low displacement chassis and engines. So I used to drag race a 1.5 liter setup, which is pretty interesting. Got
what
that
did
to
that
10.7.
You got the
230 to the wheels.
1.5? All motor?
10.7.
All motor?
All motor. And they just
in
what stuff online.
In what
car?
CRX,
in the 88 CRX, the first car
that
I had.
Bro. He's running 10s in a CRX.
Probably the most protested racer in drag racing at the time.
Why is that?
People couldn't believe it was possible. Yeah. I had my head pulled, and he was there. I had my head pulled in Palmdale when people just couldn't believe there's no way. Rumor had it I was a 2.0 D series. They pulled my Nopi. I don't know if you remember Nopi.
I remember Nopi back in the day.
They pulled my head in Palmdale and measured to 1530 cc. And oh my God, this guy is crazy.
That's crazy.
And I wasn't the fastest, but the thing revved, and I really paid attention. And I was carbureted at the time. I ran 50 Webers back in the day. And I had to modify my own Venturis, modify my own emotion tubes.
That's crazy.
I just love technology. And I just took that same mindset because I couldn't afford to do much when I was a student. I just took that same mindset to when I started making money to transferring that to the power plants that I continued.
Where did you study?
Long Beach, Cal State. I'm one of those weird, I don't know you and I, if we really discuss much about my background, but I was one of those weird children.
No, just let's discuss it now.
One of those weird
children.
Like a
smile and looked at your hands like, that was a weird child.
Oh, there's Freddie. Do you know Freddie Hernandez, a.k.a. Taverish?
Oh, hello, Taverish.
A YouTuber, you know him? He does crazy builds at home.
Yes,
he just gave us a donation and says that you're an inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
And if my car ever makes any power, he would love to race your minivan.
Let's have some fun.
I could set that up. Freddie, I will set that up for you, dude.
I am going to run slicks this time, though.
He bought the most trashed Gallardo that had like an engine fire and it had like a really disgusting, awful twin turbo kit on it, and he's rebuilding the entire car at his house.
I like that.
In Florida.
It's getting It's in the process of dyno tuning now. But
Oh,
he had to
nice.
build manifolds.
It sort of
exhaust,
works, actually, I
placement.
think.
Good.
Yeah, and I
Good.
promised him if I would go drive it if it got it working.
Sounds
but
good.
maybe we'll figure out a way to get the van involved somehow.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
So
about my
your
weird childhood.
Your weird childhood, please.
I come from parents who are both scientists. My mom is a brilliant biochemist. My father is a geologist. And they really pushed back home. I'm from Nigeria. They really pushed academia significantly. And I noticed
Were
something
they
back
well
home.
off in Nigeria? Is it science?
They were comfortable.
Comfortable?
Yeah. They
Okay.
own a cosmetics company.
Oh, really?
So they were okay.
Is
They
this
were doing okay.
one I've heard of?
No.
Okay. All right.
Unless
curious.
you're from Africa.
Unless
No.
I'm from Africa.
There you
Is
go.
it hair
Maybelline.
shit?
It's
Tell me
Maybelline.
it's African hair shit.
Yeah, it's African
What's
hair.
the name of the company?
New Way.
New.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway.
Nice.
So, long story short, they pushed academia big time. In my country, if you wanted to study a good curriculum, medicine, engineering, law, you had to have very high marks to get into university. And if you fail this exam, you have to wait a year to take it
Okay.
again. So that terrified me. I saw a lot of my peers or my aunties and uncles having a hard time getting to great disciplines and getting to university much later. So I was terrified of that. I asked my parents at the American equivalent of 9th grade for me to take the examination to enter, just to see as a mock.
You could just take it whenever.
You
it was
could,
okay. Yeah.
You could. I took it, Matt, and I passed.
Nice.
So here I am, 15 years old, applying for petrochemical engineering in Nigeria, and I passed the exam to get in.
That's crazy.
So
and is
at
that
the-
normally something 18-year-olds would be doing or
Yes,
17-year-olds?
18, 19-year-olds. And my dad asked me, what do you want to do? I said, Father, I'd love to attend university out of state. And he allowed me to. And at the time, I'm sure it's broken by now. At the time, I was the youngest person to attend university in Nigeria. At the time,
Wow. Ever?
ever.
In the history of the country?
In the history of the country.
Holy shit.
Ever since our independence in 1960.
How did we never talked about
Yeah.
this? That's the
Yeah,
craziest
so-
thing ever.
But I didn't learn anything. We just didn't have. We just
Like
didn't
I
have
got there,
technology.
I immediately started drinking vodka.
You're 15. You're in a class. Have you guys seen boobs?
So I didn't learn anything, and
Why didn't you learn anything? What happened?
we just didn't have technology, and it was girls there, but it was just ridiculous.
Oh, it was vodka girls. All right.
We just didn't learn anything.
Were the girls at university about the 15-year-old?
Yeah, because my complexion is not very common. I'm a little fair compared to most Nigerians.
You're like almost white in Nigeria.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say almost. But I'm fair in complexion, so that has a little appeal for whatever reason.
shit. That's
So,
fucked up
university
that
was
that's
fun.
in Nigeria
I know it is.
You
It
can't
is.
escape that.
Cannot.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
All right.
It's played in my favor.
It worked for you.
Yeah, it worked for me.
You have a
Yeah.
very beautiful wife.
Yeah, thank you.
Here
Thank
in
you.
America.
Thank you.
She's who is also awesome.
Thank you.
On
You're
top
too
of
kind.
being
You are
beautiful.
too kind, sir. Thank
No,
you.
I love Heidi. Heidi's the best. She's great.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're the youngest. You're now the youngest person, and you're partying.
Yes,
at
but I didn't learn
university.
anything. A whole year wasted. And I told my dad, I'm not getting anything out of this. I need to go to the United States. Like they did. My parents went to school here in the U.S. And my father agreed. But he was really tied up with business, so he couldn't escort me. So he sent me here to meet with an American family who I'd never met, who he worked for when he was out here in the U.S.
Interesting.
And it was an oil company because he was a geologist that he worked with. And I came to LAX with 2 suitcases, approached this family with a name that said Bisi Ezerioha, and went home with them in Whittier.
Oh wow.
That's how I came here.
Hi,
and
Busy.
started again.
John and Joan Chevron.
There you go.
Yeah, were they
That's how I came here.
were they heavy hitters in the oil business or?
They were. It was a company known as Torco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I've
the
heard of them.
Lancasters. Yeah, the Lancasters.
Were they
Bob
the owners
Lancaster,
of Torco?
They were the owners. Bob is no longer with us, and his
Wow.
wife Connie, and great family, and I lived with them for many years.
They make like
And,
really high quality racing fluids, right? Like brake fluid and transmission
Oil
fluid and stuff like that. I think they're doing all that on my 911. I think it's all Torco
Oh,
stuff.
cool.
So that's who
Wow, I
lived
mean
with.
how amazing, and then how fortunate, and then
Yes,
so you went to University Long Beach. You
I
said,
went to
right?
Cal State Long Beach.
Yeah.
And I did. Oh man, I had a great time there.
How about those girls?
Not very
but
good
the
in
Long Beach
engineering.
girls.
No.
Oh
nothing
yeah, engineering
spectacular.
school. Forget it.
Yeah, my father really did.
Fucking engineering school in Sweden's full of fucking trolls. You couldn't go to an engineering school anywhere and be like, wow, the women here. It just doesn't happen. Yeah.
But something really happened in my transition through university. The family from Torco wasn't faring very well. I mean, they had some challenges and had to uproot themselves from Wyoming I mean, from Whittier, I moved to Wyoming.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is nice and warm. Anyway,
Perfect for a kid from Nigeria.
so I couldn't do it. Now, my father had one more friend here. And have you ever met those old ladies who lived in a city that was really nice in the 60s? And
Yeah.
as the city went downhill, they refused to leave.
Yeah.
Because this is their neighborhood and they're never leaving. This is where they... Well, there was this very lovely lady, Mrs. Jones, who really took very well to African students and met my father years ago. And she lived in a city called Compton when he was Jewish. So it was nice Jewish community.
What's happening
in
to this
Compton.
neighborhood?
Yes,
And what year are we talking about now?
this was in the 60s and now it's in the
now
80s.
it's- yeah. Oh, right.
You know,
Wow,
to
the
think of it.
music is changing a lot around
Yeah.
here.
So and
I would really
and-
like to study hydraulics.
Exactly.
Yo, what's up, son? I'm Dr. Dre.
Oh, it was interesting. So long story short, she was the only person that my family knew that I could stay with, and they thought it was okay because my father remembers how Compton was in the 60s.
Yeah, it's a nice Jewish neighborhood.
Yeah. And then now it's in the 80s, close to the riots and all that fun stuff. And, 80s and 90s, and I have to go live with them. So I lived there with Mrs. Jones and needed to really give my parents a break with trying to support me financially. I always wanted an opportunity to prove myself. So I decided to stop taking resources from my parents and get a job nearby in this wonderful place where service was state of the art. Circuit City.
Oh.
So I went- so I was working,
where
there you
service
go.
is state of the art.
There you go. I went to Circuit City to work in Compton and had my CRX at the time that I picked up because I wanted something that was economical and very sensible. Let me take a step back. In
Were
Nigeria,
you into cars? Is this,
I-
you were
oh,
always
so
into cars or did you?
when I was born,
Yeah.
my parents tell me this. I don't know if it's true. I assume it's true. They said my first word was car. I always loved cars.
Could be true.
growing up. My first vehicle that I learned to drive with without any support was a Peugeot 504. I don't know if you know what those are.
I do, unfortunately. I wish I did. It's not
It's not the most sporty vehicle.
It's not exactly Ferrari. Yeah, Tim, do you want to get a Peugeot 504? It's so I would call it an unfortunate looking car.
Oh my god! It was cool back in the day.
Was it?
Yeah,
Was it
for
cool
us.
back in
It
the
was
day?
cool.
I
It was
mean,
cool.
actually,
The
you know
French
what?
tried.
You know what?
I wouldn't be surprised. It's kind of now that I
Look
look
at
at
that.
it now, it's
Oh,
sort of
look
it's
at the line
almost
on the
cool
grill.
again.
The
It's
headlights
almost
are a
That's
little
dope.
skyline-ish if you
There
if
you
you
go.
get drunk.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The angled lights.
Yeah, or
some
what's
Jaguars.
that road? It was like a Datsun kind of roadster that had that sort of same squinty to
I
it.
miss that car so much.
Really?
Anyway, yeah, I do.
Go
So
buy another
slow.
one.
So
You-
slow. I may just
fucking
do that.
$2,000
I may
you
just
have
do
one of
that.
those
I know.
things.
Maybe less.
Probably less.
Well, even though that was the first car I learned how to drive on, I was in love with this one vehicle that was just absolutely gorgeous and had this wedge shape and very futuristic, and it was mid-engine and it was just beautiful, and I had to have it.
Fiero.
You're so good. It was a Pontiac Fiero.
Of course.
And
the
I
mid-engine
said,
wedge from the 80s?
this thing, I must have it. So I come to America and I say, okay, BC, do the sensible thing. Read up on this thing. We didn't have the Google or internet at the time. So
Yeah.
I went to a local bookstore and I picked up this wonderful text known as Consumer Reports. So I bought this book, went through it, and it gave the Fiero the worst reviews. Catches on fire.
Bunch
I
of
think
black circles.
It's horrible.
yeah.
I mean, I think the reliability index out of 5 stars was like half of 1 star. It was horrible. And I said, okay, I'm crushed. Okay, so the next option is the Toyota MR2, but I can't afford that. So, CRX.
All right.
And it tells me that CRX is great reliability. It's a hot hatch. And the economical one for students is an
The
HF,
HF.
version.
Yeah,
So
the
like,
HF.
This
yeah.
is perfect. So I
Yeah.
pick up this HF, and anyway. So
In hindsight, I think that worked out for the best.
Very good
It
move.
did. It did.
I think that
It
worked
did.
out for the best.
I now working at Circuit City, had the opportunity to drive my CRX
He's got a
around.
nice CRX HF.
Yeah,
That's
there
a
you
good
go.
one.
Oh, that's a clean one.
That's a
right
good
there.
one. Yeah.
Mine was blue, so I love blue so much.
Oh, is that why your Porsche's all blue? Yeah,
I
okay.
love the blue. It's
That
my
Porsche
favorite.
though was a great blue.
Thank
That
you.
was
Thank you
a
so much.
special
Thank
blue.
Where did that blue
you.
come from on that?
It's a mixture
Porsche?
between. I tried to recreate my Honda blue, but it ended up not working out. It looks more like almost a Mini Cooper blue.
It's
right
really,
there.
it's very
very
sparkly
nice.
too. It's
Yeah.
got a
Thank
nice,
you.
nice
Thank you.
shine to it. Okay, so now you Circuit City, CRX.
Yeah, Circuit City CRX. So I'm there working there, having fun. And I just got up to go to work one day and heard this strange sound emanating from the back of my CRX. It was like this do 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 do. I'm like, okay, what is going on? And I liked the sound, but I knew it wasn't right. So I went to the local dealership in Gardena, which is closest one to Honda. I mean, closest one to Compton at the time. And they said, oh, you have a perforated muffler. And it cost me like, I think it was $600 then to replace that. I couldn't afford that as a student. So I went to a local muffler shop and they convinced me to use a Dynamax Ultraflow.
Ooh,
yeah, which
buddy.
would give me the sound I want and would be much cheaper. So I said, sure. So they put it on and the sound was awesome. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And then my vehicle felt faster. And if I kept my foot out of it, my gas mileage improved. So I was intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked around for any information I could read about making my car better and faster. So I started looking through Yellow Pages for speed shops. There's a place called San Andres that was in Orange County. I went there, picked up a book, Honda Performance Handbook, talked about Russ Collins and all these great guys who did crazy things with Hondas. And I read about camshafts and induction. I'm like, okay, I need more. Where can I get this stuff? And I'm reading about Oscar Jackson and what he did road racing. I'm like so excited. And I noticed there's a place nearby me in Compton, this place called Advanced Engine Management.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, they're in Compton. I go there. They just moved to another place in Gardena. I go there to Gardena and I meet this gentleman, the proprietor. His name is John Concialdi. And that was the beginning of the end. John was a very positive but bad influence on me. He told me what I could do with induction, how I can play on carburation and go to Makunis and all that fun stuff. So I took his advice, threw on some Makunis, some 40 millimeter Makunis on there, put some DC headers on there, still have my Dynamax Ultraflow muffler. And
were you learning to wrench yourself?
I had
as well?
to. I had to. I just couldn't afford it anywhere. And he was a fantastic mentor for me.
Did you always have the way it sounds like you approached researching how to work on stuff is very much like an engineer, which you obviously are. You know, I'm going to learn everything about this and then move forward.
Absolutely.
Did you always have that brain even as a kid, or did this like hook you and then that's a very methodical way to go about things?
You know how children are born curious?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, and I feel the parents are responsible for this, they kind of push away that curiosity. They kind of chastise them for trying to explore things and take things apart. My father, I'm lucky to have him as really a dad. He encouraged me, if I took things apart, try and figure out how they came apart and put them back together. So he always encouraged that. So I always had that knack for taking things apart. I always had affinity for the sciences. I always wanted to be an engineer. I knew I'd be an engineer.
And you were probably familiar with the scientific method with your parents. You understood how to approach a problem.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
what was actually your specialty in engineering?
Fluid dynamics.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which almost got me kicked out, by the way.
Why?
Well, I did some illegal experiments to try and figure out why.
It's making extra money with Walter White.
I was trying to figure out why acid is so profitable.
I wish I was that clever. The fact of the matter is, I want to know why the carburation that I put on based from John Concialdi gave me 12% more power. And he couldn't explain to me, so I want to know why, and I did find out why. But I got caught by one of the lab techs and got reported to the dean.
So you got caught for using lab stuff for non-school work,
that
basically.
Is correct.
Oh, okay.
But I learned tremendously.
You know what? In the grand scheme of collegiate offenses,
no shit.
He was doing research in that lab.
Thank you.
On a non-school project, but using it in a way that will benefit his studies and ultimately this school.
Oh my God.
So is that because every time I talk to you about one of your builds, you always kind of dwell a little longer than other people about the fluids you're using.
Yes.
So you tell me we can get back to life story, but tell me how because you're a fluid dynamics engineer.
Yes.
How important are fluids?
Extremely. Everything. Well,
no, it's really just your delivery is very funny.
Extremely important. Everything from using something simple as lubricants and being able to reduce friction in the engine, which a lot of energy is lost from that. I mean, I talk about this a lot on my Tech Tuesdays, how internal combustion
good plug.
engines.
Tech Tuesdays on Instagram Live, right?
Thank you, absolutely.
BISIMOTO on Instagram, he does a whole live show.
Yep.
What time do you do it?
Noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Okay,
That's
cool.
awesome.
Continue. Fluids.
So it's extremely important to realize that our internal combustion engines are nothing but glorified energy converters. We have, of course, the chemical energy that's contained in the caloric content of the fuel. We have the oxygen content of air, which is about 20% or so. Combining with that, we combust it, and we now change that chemical energy to heat energy. And that heat now does work on top of the piston, where we're not converting that heat energy to mechanical energy, which then propels our engine forward that's a very simplistic way of saying it. So what happens when we create that heat of combustion? We lose a lot of that to the surrounding, to radiation, so on and so forth. We lose a lot of energy to friction in these internal combustion engines. So when we make power, we're not really making power. We're really conserving energy better. We are taking advantage of the energy that's being created and harnessing it better. So fluids allows us to do that better. Anything that can allow me to extract more energy from that air combination, I do it. Anything that if you take apart any of my engines, you see extensive use of coatings. You see even with something as simple as my injection systems, I run very high pressures because I get better atomization. And with better atomization, you can ignite that fuel and create more heat. Everything is thought through very well. So I see a lot of people say, oh, BC, you cheated. I'm using science to my advantage. That's all I do.
Yeah. So when you have, like, just in a hypothetical hypothetical car.
No worries.
Rear wheel drive, front engined car.
Yes.
You've got your engine makes 500 horsepower on an engine dyno.
Right.
Assume your normal, let's just call it 10% drivetrain loss to make the math easier. So 50 horsepower drivetrain loss. By changing your oil, your trans fluid, your differential fluid, that type of thing, how much power could you free up?
Quite
potentially?
a bit.
Really?
Quite a bit. I have, even on my silly Insight, I've used a lubricant. Well, I've used a lubricant that has allowed me to improve my horsepower by 12 wheel, which is pretty nice.
That's totally significant.
And it's not that it created power. Because of the lubricity of the oil and reducing friction,
It just conserved it.
It just conserved it.
It's like it allows the power that's already being made in the combustion to be passed through to the drivetrain instead of
not be consumed
in piston wall.
Absolutely.
And there are people that pay $1,000 for an intake to make 12 horsepower.
Very true. Even more than for less power.
If it's a BMW, they could pay a lot more.
That's kind of what I'm referring to. Like a CSL airbox, is $2,000 or something, but you can put in $70 of good oil and free up the same power. Wow.
Nothing's free in the world. What is the trade-off of that power from that oil? Does it go bad faster?
No,
Does it
slight dilution of your wallet. Slight.
Oh, so it's more expensive.
It's more expensive.
Okay. All right. Well, that's an easy thing to swallow. If you go, look, here's a better a version of what you're using. It costs this much more, but here's your benefit.
Absolutely.
That's better. I'd rather it was more expensive than you had to change it twice as often.
Oh no! If anything, you can have longer change intervals. The one thing is that the company that I've partnered with is this company called Puro, and they're from aerospace, and they see a lot more heat and friction than we see in automotive. And even though I'm a chemical engineer, I don't know everything. I do ask them, what is it about your compound that makes it so superior? And they've shared that what we have in automotive is such old technology, they can't believe it's still out. In aerospace, they are just so advanced. So it's really good. But bottom line, I love science. I love improving things. And Matt, you've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, no.
By the way, thank you so much for your input on the car, on the center seat.
Oh, on the red car. Yeah, let's talk about the red car.
Awesome.
So I wrote a story for Road and Track, and there's a video out on the YouTube channel right now. Here it is. It looks like a Cayman, but it's not.
Yes.
It is a Boxster.
Yes.
And basically, the way you told me is you wanted to learn how to go around corners.
Yes, more than a return road on a drag strip.
Drag racer wants to learn racetracks.
Absolutely.
And you went about it in the most difficult way I can imagine.
You think so?
Like some people might say, "Oh, you should buy a Miata and learn to go around corners." And you're like, "What if I make a Boxster into a Cayman and move the seat from the left to the center?
There you go.
And put some turbos on it."
There was a method to that madness. There was a method to that madness.
So describe the method.
Well, we are fortunate enough at BISIMOTO to have a relationship with some very important people at Porsche. And from time to time, they invite my team out to test cars. So once we got an invitation from Porsche to test some of their vehicles at the Fontana Speedway. And I had the opportunity to explore the Cayman R versus the 911S.
This was like a couple years ago, right? Yeah.
A while back, a couple of years back. And I was really impressed by the handling of the Cayman R. Extremely impressed with how forgiving and balanced it was. Mm-hmm. But it lacked one special ingredient.
Power.
Absolutely. So I wanted, I felt that if this thing had the power of a 911, it would be perfect. So in normal BC fashion, I went and looked for the most tunable Cayman I could find. So 2007 Cayman S, low miles, picked it up.
If you scroll down, the car he's referring to is going to be a gray. There's a picture of it on the track. There it is, right there in the middle. Up,
right
up,
there.
up. That.
And that vehicle I picked up.
It's pretty dope, actually.
Thank you. Picked that up and threw a couple of snails in the back, typical BC fashion with the nuts hanging in the rear.
Yeah, the nuts turbos on the either side of the license plate. It's
So
a really
cool.
strong effect.
Yeah.
Visible turbo. It looks great.
It does look great. Yeah.
Got it to a 481 and it was perfect, or so I thought. Meaning it was
41
much
with air
better.
conditioning. You said it had air conditioning.
Air
too. Full
conditioning,
interior
Bose
air conditioning,
system, red interior. It was just so comfortable. But in normal BC greed, I wanted more. So how could I take this a step further? I know. Why don't I give it the ultimate imbalance and move the seat to the center? Plus, I've been itching to road race. I had so much fun when it came. I said, let's do something very unique. And that became the genesis of what I call the Boxman.
Wait, go back to pull the picture up for the people, Tim. So literally gutted interior, Boxster, completely gutted interior, seat in the middle. There's a full, race car proper cage structure. Excuse me, motorsport pedal box, and there's this lovely stanchion on the right side of the seat where the shifter goes. Oh, is this me getting in?
Actually, that's me getting in.
Oh, it's you getting in. Okay. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass to get in.
It's not so bad.
No, you know what? It's weird because you have to cover some ground.
That's true.
But you also you have a little more room to work. It's not like getting into a tiny little car. Once you're in it, though, it's so spacious because you have no interior, because you're in the middle. It wraps around you, but not in a tight way. Like
It's the opposite of a Defender 90.
or it's the opposite of like a tiny little prototype race car. Like if you want to sit in the middle, current offerings indicate that you have to sit in something tiny.
Yeah.
And this is the size of a GT car, but because you sit in the middle, you have the visual impact of a prototype car.
So amazing greenhouse.
Yeah, and because it sounds so fucking weird, because the turbos, like, it doesn't really sound like a normal Porsche, because it's like a 2.7 with these turbos, and like it just makes weird sounds, not normal Porsche race car sounds. I, at least, am able to mostly disassociate it from Porsche. It didn't feel like any other Porsche. It feels cool, but like it doesn't feel like a GT3 at all.
Sense.
It's completely different. Big torque, really cool, awesome blow off noises.
What so before you gutted that car,
Yes.
you're sitting left seat, trans tunnel is in the middle.
Yes.
Where does all that go?
Left sider. Left sider.
The great thing is that the configuration of the chassis is a mid-engine.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about any crazy gearboxes or drive shafts or anything in the middle. What
You can just
exists-
hollow out
Yeah,
the entire cockpit,
absolutely.
right?
What exists in that tunnel where the shifter used to reside is just cooling pipes
Okay.
that go to the radiators in the front. So if you do some very creative
You just
plumbing,
reroute it.
Where
right?
where did they get routed to? I don't
Well,
remember seeing
we still
them.
have a slight cavity under there that we left in place.
Oh, so they go
so
underneath.
It still
Okay.
goes in the same location as factory, and it made things very straightforward. And the car I love that car. And once again, I'm not the kind of guy to just throw a big engine and just go out there whomping and everything. It doesn't make sense. I wanted to be able to learn as much as I could about road racing and this chassis and making it very comfortable and enjoyable. So instead of going crazy with my proper engine, which is still on the stand in my engine room, the 3.4 I told you about, Matt.
Oh yeah. The next engine.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I have a 2.7 in there, twin
This is,
turbocharged.
this is a 2.7.
Yeah,
This is
2.7.
it's like the sucky
It's like my
mode.
test
right.
engine. It's like my
Yeah.
test
It's your
engine.
Fitment
Yeah, it's my Fitment.
engine, and then the next one's
Yeah.
going to be
the engine
4
that came in
digits.
that was actually a 2.5.
Yeah, well,
Now
that's a super
rubbish.
sucky engine.
Yeah,
That's
so I
like
put a 2.7 in there, and I've learned so much. Even with Matt's interaction with the chassis, I've learned so much. I've improved since you.
it was
drove
really
around.
it's really good. It's just you I don't know why you love manual brakes so much. Sooner or later you're going to have to explain to me your obsession with manual brakes, cuz I hate them so much, but someone must be telling you they're awesome.
I like the feedback I get from it. I just like the
Do you
feedback.
like having to like do full on leg stands?
And you know what? I take full responsibility for that because I haven't explored different compounds for the brake pads.
Because you have like they're monster calipers, right? Aren't they eights?
Thank you. Yes, they are 8 pistons.
Dude, pressing 8 pistons without a brake booster. I think like while trying, it would be one thing if you were hauling it down from a runway, honestly. But at Button Willow, because this car is you run a stock gearbox for now. And it's the 5-speed. This car had 217 horsepower when it was new. So it's geared like a car with 217 horsepower, not like a car with 450. So you're going a full gear faster every straightaway than you would be going in a normal Boxster, which is awesome. You're going fast as hell. And it doesn't matter on the way up, but on the way down, to go from 5th to 2nd, you never go from 5th to 2nd at Button Willow, but to go from 5th to 3rd, it's quite challenging to press that while heel toeing 2 gears. And like, it's not that it can't be done, but like I ran, I don't know, 6 laps or something, and my foot was exhausted at the end of it.
So sorry, Matt.
It's not your fault.
I could correct that for you.
Yes, it is. It is your fault. It is your fault. Absolutely. I don't know why I say it's not your fault. You didn't build the car for me. That's what I mean.
But to be honest with you, I built it for it to be enjoyable by anyone.
Yeah, I think if people are gonna, I think whatever the gains are by not having power brakes, I think they're offset by ease of driving. And even the professional race car drivers that I know, unless they're going for an authentic vintage experience, they're not looking for manual brakes.
Well, tell you what, duly noted. And when you see her next time,
dude, isn't that car so light that if you just if you took the stock brakes off your wife's Cayman and put them on, I mean, I'm not saying you take, but like, couldn't you just use a 10 years newer stock Porsche hardware and have it be like super effective?
I wouldn't want that because remember, once again, we have that adjustable pedal box, which is telescopic. So it'd be very difficult to integrate a factory setup into that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Remember, the seat's fixed, and for different height drivers, you can manipulate the pedal box.
I didn't realize that the engineering solutions required to do that. So if you have an adjustable pedal box, that eliminates a lot of your options for brakes?
Oh, no, it's me you're talking to. I can make this happen. That's the challenge.
No, I mean like the Royal U. I didn't realize that the adjustability of it creates extra challenges.
It doesn't make it easier, but doesn't mean that it cannot be done.
Oh, okay. Well,
one thing I wish you did was press that button to the right of you.
Dude, I fucked up.
What is this button?
There's a button. So it's like the car makes like 425 at the tires, and then it has actually on a button 100 wheel.
Yes.
Just an overboost.
Overboost.
Yep.
Wow.
And I was trying to make a video, and I was running laps and having a good time, and I forgot. I forgot to hit it. It's just not a thing I think about. I just forgot.
It's so pleasant.
I'm sure. No, I'm sure it is.
When you drive
I'll have
again,
it go. Yeah, no, we'll go again.
You'll have more power,
Yeah.
and you really love that button.
I want to see. Well, I want to see what happens. Yeah. So the plan is to do smaller turbos on a slightly bigger engine, right?
That is correct.
And then power brakes.
It sounds like have you not driven a car that has power brakes with a pedal feel you enjoy or want?
Well,
is that what you're seeking?
my Cayman has power brakes because its factory is awesome, but I don't get the feedback that I experience with the Boxman. And I was, and this is feedback for some of the guys from the POC and so on and so forth. They're like, oh yeah, power brakes. Oh, that's for girls. You need man's.
Don't listen to these vintage guys, dude. They want to go manual brakes in their 66 911. They don't want to go manual. They're not taking the boosters out of their GT3s. Believe me.
You should go talk to like an old Le Mans driver from like the 50s or 60s. The guys that made power like you have, and they have that speed. And if you were like, should I do power brakes or manual brakes? They'd probably say manual brakes.
Yeah,
because they've been through this shit.
Yeah,
understood.
Gentlemen drivers though need power brakes.
They want power brakes.
Gentlemen drivers want power brakes. But the point of this exercise, beyond you learning how to build a road course car and having fun, is you said there's an interest in a spec series for these things.
That is correct. So I had the opportunity to interact with our good friends from POC. So Ron Palmer is the president of POC out here in California, and he really wanted us to explore something very unique, something that existed between the Porsche Cup cars that are quite expensive.
What is
And
a
the
used
Boxster
cup
spec.
car going for these days?
I've seen used ones go for.
150?
I've seen used ones go for about 200. Used ones.
Used ones.
Yeah.
Current like a 991.
Yes.
Yeah.
Proper ones, you're in the 350 plus.
Yeah, they're
range.
expensive.
Yeah.
And they're expensive to run too, right?
Very. I think you have to do a service every 25 hours. It's like 40 grand or something like that.
Race car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking race car.
Yeah.
So you have the cup guys who are up there, and then you have the Boxster spec, which is just Boxster spec. Nothing really exists in the middle that's really nice.
Yeah.
So that being said, there's an opportunity for us to explore that with this type of chassis, and that's why I built this, to show that you could have a fun car that won't break the bank, that can exist between a cup and a Boxster spec. And that's why feedback is very important to me above and beyond this. I want to be able to build this car to get approved so that we can have quite a few of them out there.
How many hours did it take to move the seat to the middle? Like, let's talk man hours for that.
The first one's
And would
also,
that be
also
required for
very
the spec idea?
That would be. The first one's always challenging, but we've digitized everything, so it won't be very difficult now. But the first time was in the fab hours, I would say a good 36 or so, thereabout. It's quite
It's
a bit.
not as much as I would have thought. I would have
it's quite a
guessed
bit.
more.
Yeah,
honestly,
quite a bit.
but that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. So it's got a small tunnel that you just put the
Yes.
seat over. That
That is
tunnel
correct.
remains in place, and then you rip out the dash and put the cage in,
The
and then bolt
tunnel
stuff
is
to the
surgically
center.
removed, and then
Oh,
you
it is.
replace the panels. So and
Okay.
it's not a very long length of that. As
Gotcha.
well,
So you shrink it,
So
and then you can still run the radiator
that
pipes
is
and everything
correct.
under there.
That is correct.
Wow.
Honestly, if I had a car that was only a race car, not a lot of downside.
Yeah.
Other than the
No.
cost to the center seat.
Not at all.
Center seat was pretty rock and roll if you're not.
Thank you, sir.
And in fact, if you wanted to be extremely gangster with it, if you did it to a 911 instead of a Cayman, you could have a 3-seater.
That's a
Legit,
good. Ooh.
legit, you could have a 3-seater if you got it a 911 like a fucking boss.
That'd be
Busy's mind is
really
going right
cool.
now.
Ooh.
Busy's mind is going.
That would be a good
Right?
business
You and me,
idea.
bro.
That's a good busyness idea.
Bro,
I'll leave.
because a rear engine, is this has the same no problems in that in the middle, right? You could do it.
Oh yeah.
and it's got the back seat, so you could have the
Yes.
two seats move back and have that.
Market 8, dude.
Copyright.
Dude, a 3-seater would be sick. Because then you take this
Oh
concept
my
and do it with a
God.
finished interior.
Yes.
So it would be really. I think. Has someone done this? Is this
Not
why
that
this
I've ever
sounds
seen.
familiar? Tim, just real quick, Google 3-seater 911 and see if anyone's done that.
And just because someone has doesn't mean that.
Yo,
another
there's
person
something
can.
there.
Someone
Look,
did
it's a
it.
convertible,
yeah,
too.
he did it, and it's a convertible 997. Someone did it.
kinda
Doesn't mean
ugly.
you couldn't also do it better.
Wait, where's the?
Look at that.
Wait,
he moved.
where are
is
the
that
other
a-
seats?
Is that a steering wheel behind it? What is
Oh no, I think this is not a 3-seater. I think this is just a straight up center seat. And look, they moved the entire center console to the right side.
Yeah, they just moved. Basically, for people listening, they just basically moved the
Ah,
whole
well, they
thing.
built there's another picture.
12 inches to the right.
Can you zoom in maybe? Oh, that's fucking cool. I mean,
It is
okay.
cool.
He has. I guess.
I don't think there's a second other seats in there.
I don't know I don't think there's other seats. You'd have to do this where you'd eliminate that tunnel. You would do your stanchion thing like you have it, but you'd make it a 3-seater. I think it's totally doable.
I think so as well. I think something there is that seat still moves back.
Yeah, it's like
so
a
if you can
power
move the seat
seat
forward,
Yeah,
and
it's like a
keep
power
it
seat.
static, and then
Yeah.
with the pedals, you can have space to put something.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That would
I
be so
may
cool.
have to do this.
That would be cool. Or you could do
may have to do this.
like reverse facing seats in the front if you really wanted to make people vomit.
Oh my god, that'd be terrible.
Just do like reverse facing launches.
Wow.
Wow, this so this guy actually built. That's a real car, huh?
It looks like it.
It looks like a real
that's real.
car. Fuck, that's fun. That's
Interesting
pretty
project.
What do I
That's
use
pretty
a
cool.
cab for that? That's interesting.
It's weird to use a cab, isn't it? It is. Maybe because it's easier to show it off because you're like that, and you just wanted to be just cruise. It's kind of funny. I wonder what something like that would sell for. I bet you that would be hard to sell.
Yeah, I think so.
Small market. Really small market.
Oh my God, is it automatic?
man.
It's automatic
Oh, it looks
too.
like that, yeah.
Who purifies the driving experience and then buys an auto? You suck. That guy stinks. A convertible automatic, and you put the seat in the middle. Maybe he was just like, I don't ever want to have anybody in the car with me ever. Like I took out my back seat of my Mini once because I didn't want to have to ever. I have a pet peeve of mine is being in a 2-door car and having people in the back, and so I wanted to eliminate that. I just removed my back seat. Sorry.
That guy hates people but loves attention.
There you go.
Because convertible,
Of course.
you have
Yeah.
to see me.
Of course.
I'm the only one in this car.
Totally.
Wow.
Okay, so Busy, what
Yes.
what is next, my friend?
Well, we have some really interesting things this year. I'm building a couple more of my beautiful Boxmen. Above and beyond that, I'm doing something very unique that I cannot talk about yet. But I want you to drive.
Before we leave the Boxman, the roof.
Yes.
We didn't discuss
Oh,
the roof.
yes.
It's a Boxster, but
Yes.
if you notice, it doesn't just have a Boxster. Go back to the picture of it, Tim. It doesn't just have a Boxster hardtop on
Yes.
it. It actually has a Cayman's roof.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Well,
How?
but if you look at it, like it looks like a Cayman that existed before a Cayman because it's not the right generation. So
Right.
So tell them how you did that.
Yeah, the giveaway is pretty much the side vents.
Yeah.
That's what gives it away. If it had the proper side vents from a Cayman, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But we made a mold of a proper 987 Cayman, and then here's what gets crazy. That roof actually costs more than the car. It's made of carbon fiber.
What?
We took it off. It's like what 10 pop rivets.
And it's like less than 11 pounds. It's really
Wow.
lightweight.
Because in this picture, you can't see the seam
Yes.
next to the rear 3/4. So
Yes, because it sits in that cavity there that it typically exists.
It's
for
mega
the,
slick, dude.
yeah,
it's
really
really,
cool.
nice.
It's
really cool.
Although, I mean, it's carbon, so when you take it off, like, it feels like you could snap it.
Yeah.
And like, could you?
But it's pretty robust.
Is it-
carbon fiber? Well, good stuff.
It feels flimsy.
Yeah.
It's just because it weighs
is,
like.
it, is
very
it
lightweight.
braced inside when
Oh,
you
no.
take it off?
No, you need two people to take it
yeah,
off.
you do, ideally.
You need two people.
Okay.
Here's my other question before
Yes.
about this car. I didn't really care so much when I was there, and I never considered it. But when I posted up pictures of it,
Yes.
a lot of people were asking about the fitment of the front wheel.
Oh, great question.
Compared to the over fender.
Yes.
because it seems like the fitment is a lot closer in the rear,
Yes.
and it almost looks undersized a little in the front. What is that about?
I saw a lot of those comments as well. And once again, I experiment. I'm playing with different track widths in the front to see what's ideal for handling. So knowing that I definitely didn't want a protrusion as I go wider,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
had those fenders designed to allow me to move around. And how it sits now, after you photographed it, looks different from that photo right there.
Are you using different like spacers
Absolutely.
and stuff, or are you actually
Absolutely.
because those are Carbon Revolution
That's
wheels?
correct.
You can't just like order up more of those.
No. They do have different offsets and fitments as well, but I want to optimize and see how it changes the handling of the car. So I'm a data
Are
person.
you also changing control arm lengths? Because
Not
I know
yet.
that just changing spacers can change like roll centers and stuff a lot too.
significantly. And that's the kind of information I need to understand. I want to see what's ideal for that. And what I do not want is, like I said, a very small protrusion and then move the wheel outwards, and
Yeah.
it's like an old front wheel drive drag car.
Right.
So I'm trying to prevent that.
No, I mean the balance of the handling was good. Like I think in general people tend to size tires based on weight distribution, right?
Understood.
I said that as a question. But, okay. But
They do.
those are the wheels on the GT3 fitment. Is that what you
That
just
is
got?
correct. How did you're really good.
Well, the reason I know is because I tested those cars on a GT3, and the
Okay.
stagger looks like a 911 stagger, not
Understood.
like a Cayman fitment.
That is correct.
Can you run rears in the front?
Yes, I can.
Is it possible
It
without
is
them
possible.
rubbing?
Not because I actually grabbed the rears off my Cayman and put in the front, and it did rub.
Oh, it did.
So
Okay.
I do
and
have
you
to.
rubbed at the track a little bit, right?
I did. That's actually, now that you've mentioned it, yes. In the existing state, I did get rub in the track, which you can hear in the video. It
Yeah.
sounds like someone's
My
honking.
black
over.
does. I watched it
Viper,
today.
my black Viper up there. I also rub when I race that too.
Really?
But you know what's different? Not that one, but there's another black Viper that is probably
There's one
from this
without the
weekend,
wing, right?
With the wing right
Oh,
there
that
in the
one,
middle.
yeah.
That one. So when I tracked that at Fontana,
good looking.
thank you, sir. I rub a little bit there as well. But
Ooh,
you're,
good wheels.
Why? Thank you.
That's-
Thank you.
What are those wheels? They're nice.
Perfect stance.
1552.
Oh, they are?
Yes. Those
Hi,
guys are
Brad.
really good. Yep.
Not-
Brad and Matt.
That's what you have those on the Santa Fe as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love those guys. They're good guys.
My car is at 1552 right now.
Oh, nice.
1552
Really?
X Mountoon partnership.
Uh-huh.
Did you know about this?
No.
You know how Mountoon had the front building on a 2-building lot?
Yeah.
1552 just moved into the back building.
Oh,
So that was great. I got to drop the car off, and I'm getting new wheels. Matt is making me 17s.
sweet.
I'm doing a -2 for an urban tarmac
Great
wheel.
idea.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's gonna look sweet.
like Ken Block wheels,
Yeah,
I think.
sidewall.
And then we're coming up with a new sport wheel. Well, there are, and there it's the a sort of homage to the Lancia Delta Evo wheel, which I think will look very, very cool. And
Very
also,
cool.
and we're doing just a check over at Mountain while they're there. But
Sweet.
yay! But shout out to them. So you
about this
rubbing.
year, above and beyond the rubbing, you asked about projects.
The rubbing. We need to fix the rubbing too.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. That's fine.
Figure that one
So
out.
once again, I'll tell you this, and even your viewership and the people who are writing online and so on and so forth. I'm not perfect. I'm an engineer. I take data. I correct and I improve things as time progresses. I never ever will claim that a car come out perfect the first time. I get guys like Matt in the car. I get people for like Ralph Gilles from FCA in the car, and I take their feedback constructively and improve on it.
Did Ralph drive this thing? Did he drive the Boxster?
yes, he
What did he say? He's a good driver.
Well, I'll tell you what, he gave me feedback about power steering. So he said,
Did he
you
say-
can put power steering in this thing. Don't go with manual steering. And I did that. And so you
Oh,
experienced.
he drove it with
Yes,
manual
with
steering
manual steering.
before.
Yes. He's like, oh, this is
Oh.
great, but the steering is.
It was probably tough.
It was really, I mean,
Yeah.
even for myself, it was kind of difficult on my wrists.
Yeah.
And there are times that I'm like chasing the steering wheel, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, but
You know what I
once
like
again,
manual steering in a fucking go-kart. bro.
Yeah.
or CRX.
I just did a back-to-back with a 1991 NSX
Okay.
and then a 2002 NSX.
Oh, right. Yeah.
No power steering and then power steering.
Yes.
The power steering car was so much better.
Oh, yeah.
It's just I don't know. There's
If it's done right.
if it's
very
done
good.
right, yeah, no, it can be. It can be ruined, but like it's. I can project the thought that if I drove the Boxman without power steering, I wouldn't like it.
Yeah, it was really a
I-
big difference.
yeah.
But once again, it's a testament to my mindset of making things better each time. I always want to improve, and it'll continue to improve. And whether people like it or not, I'm gonna keep doing my thing and
I don't
making
think
it better.
And I don't think anybody doesn't like it. I think there are people who ask questions that don't understand that this is a thing that's in development.
Absolutely.
A lot of guys like me, frankly, I don't think I really I obviously in my piece voiced my criticisms in the car, as you welcomed me to, and
Yes.
and I don't think I presented it as a ready for sale product either. I talked about a forthcoming new engine and whatever, but yeah, I think if you just look at the photo and go, that is on a racetrack and therefore it is finished.
Very good point.
A lot of people they just read the headline and see the picture and then that's America 2018.
It's kind of like there's a difference between why did you do that and why are you doing that. And I think I drove this car today. I'll make it real quick. This was my first.
Please tell.
This is the first death trap I drove.
So I retired from driving fans cars, so I only drive press cars and cars built by experts like
thank
you. And I passed on all the death traps to Zach.
To me.
So I was waiting to find out about your first death trap. Please tell
First
us.
death trap. So 91 Acura Integra. This
Starting off well. This is
starting
promising.
off well, right?
Promising.
Great and when I saw,
How did it look in the picture?
it looked rowdy and rough.
Okay. Was it presented accurately?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It was presented as. Let's see. There was a guy who was going to let me use his Civic, and he got in an accident last week. Okay. And he goes, "Look, I crashed my car. I can't come up, but my friend has this Acura that's also built, has aero and all this stuff, and he'll let you drive it." And I was like, "Cool." Sent me a picture. It's got a giant wing on the back. It's got homemade canards on the front. Like these dudes are 20.
Okay.
So
Ooh.
let's all think about that.
Right.
Car shows up. It's the loudest thing in the world, and it looks rough. It's gutted, but I'm like, well, these guys live near Willow Springs. Super nice guys, okay? Very nice guys. They live near Willow Springs, and the guy goes to Willow Springs. He goes to the track. He didn't build this for street presence.
Right.
My
He
dad's
takes
a
it to
TV repairman.
All right. So I see, I'm like, this car's gutted. It's got like a B20 swap in it, swapped engine. They're doing all their own work. Okay. They are in the process of learning. It's got a different head on. It's got headers. It's got I put this transmission on.
Right.
Great. When I get in the car, there's like a switch down by the side that's just hanging from a wire. I'm like, what's that? He's like, oh, that's the VTEC.
No.
I want to say again to Sam, you're very nice. They're 20. They're figuring it out. I too have made some questionable decisions in my life, but this car is in its evolution.
Now, hang on.
But I drove
Is
it in the middle.
broken and that's a patch, or have they literally developed an on-off switch for VTEC.
Developed is a strong word, Matt.
Okay, attempted an on-off switch for VTEC.
He swapped in the engine, and the deal is that the
Look at his
Acura he
face.
has is OBD 0,
Yeah.
and the engine he put in is OBD 1.
Right.
So he needs to make a harness to marry those two wiring systems, and until he does that, the VTEC will not kick in, yo. Like,
What if you hit the switch?
If you hit the switch, you feel it a little bit, but it also has the wrong ECU on it
Yes,
at
and
this
the
point.
fueling is
so,
all-
oh, it's
my
totally
God.
off.
Can Busy do charity work? Can we
This-
volunteer Busy for this?
This is Oliver Twist.
Busy, can you 15 minutes of ECU tuning time?
It needs more than ECU.
It needs a different ECU.
Yeah, harness,
It had like
modification.
a big dead spot in the center. All things I told him, like the center steering is dead for like 6 inches, and then it has a ton of tire in the front and the rear, and it's got aero on and stuff. In 3 years, or a year of like reading, this car could be a super quick time attack car. But as it stands, you've got a 20-year-old who swapped an engine and swapped a bunch of parts and is now learning what happens when you do that. And this part doesn't talk to that part. Okay, how do I fix that problem? So
I mean, A
Interesting.
for effort.
A for effort.
Death trap.
Death trap.
Death trap score.
Dude, I mean, it had no steering for 6 inches either way in the center, and then once you get into the tire and it leans over, now it's got all the grip in the world.
Yeah,
but you don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
the grip's about to show up. The grip is just a friend that comes in the back door hammered,
Right.
and you're like, oh, what are you doing here? And it's like, oh, I'm here to turn, son, because I've got this giant wing in the back and these canards,
amazing.
that these dudes made. So
Right.
they're
That
putting in the
is
effort
crazy.
and they're figuring it out. But they're just,
Yeah.
It was one of the weirder things I've ever driven. Definitely the loudest thing I've driven in a long time.
He needs Tech Tuesdays. On
Yes,
He does need
BISIMOTO
Tech
on
Tuesdays.
Instagram.
He does. He
But
does.
I have to say that people like that will end up being the people that can wrench on stuff in 6 years, because if you
True,
don't
that's
try
true.
and fail,
Absolutely.
you're not going to learn.
Absolutely. I
So
wouldn't discourage them at all. It's a learning curve.
it was
No, don't discourage them from building. Just don't ever get in their car again. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
A lot of those days, a lot of those times you get out and you go, "Phew, stays like this. I really wish I didn't choose a road with a cliff.
I was like, hey man, let me know when all of this is sorted because I bet it'll be rowdy. But
Yeah.
right now it's like you can tell that the ECU is not. You can tell the engine's not running at max power.
Understood.
It's not. The fueling's probably wrong. The AF ratios are a little bit weird.
course.
So it makes all the noise, and now just needs some of the power.
You know who that guy turns into? He turns into Mark, who Mark had the 75 Corolla. Do you remember
Yeah.
him that we filmed?
Right.
This guy, I just saw him. He has a fifth gen Z28 that he bought, and I just saw him at the track day, and he's doing well, and that Corolla's doing well. This guy had a 75 Corolla, which is the rear wheel drive
yeah.
one, old school, almost looks like a mini 60s Mustang.
Nice.
Great looking car.
Great looking car. Just put in that. What the fuck?
Put
It
in-
had a
put in
nickname.
75
no
Corolla
style.
tuned.
No style. It was no style Corolla. And he put a Lexus 1UZ.
Oh, I like one UZs.
Supercharged.
I like one
And then
UZs.
he took a blower from a 2004 Mustang Cobra.
Oh.
Cast his own intake manifold.
Well done.
Look at this fucking thing. How dope is that?
Oh, that looks cool.
Tell me that's not fire.
That's really cool.
And the blower's coming out of the
Nice.
hood. He's got these really mean over fenders, and he goes to like those good guys autocrosses,
Of course.
and slays with this thing.
That's
it's really
so
fast.
cool.
He's got really dialed in suspension, and what was great
he
about
make
this
his own
guy,
headers?
he made everything.
Right.
Nice.
He made his own control arms, I think. I mean, like
Nice.
all kinds of stuff. And he it had like a huge steering wheel, so you had to shuffle steer. And all I told him was like, put a small steering wheel on
Right.
it. And he actually got quite a bit faster at the autocross after
Nice.
that.
Sure.
For autocross, it worked. But the car, like, that's an example of like he had never driven anything else. He had built this thing that like worked really good. And had zero frame of reference. He'd never driven like a
Wow.
fast sports car. It's
Wow.
wild. That's happened a couple
That's
times where
cool.
people.
That's
so that
cool.
kid will turn into Mark.
Was that the first car he'd built? Or,
Yeah.
So and he did it in his garage. He had like a
That's
normal
so cool.
house.
Yeah.
That's great.
In Azusa or something.
Yeah.
And just
I like it.
figured it out over time.
I like it.
And
Yeah.
the car's really fast.
Really
and the
cool.
Good Guys Autocross, like I think only C7 Corvettes beat him. Like he
Wow.
was it was like a bunch of C7 Corvettes and then his Corolla and then everything else.
Wow, that's
yeah,
awesome.
he was
Great car.
mobbing,
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's
and he was
awesome.
very fast in
Forgot
his
about that
Z28
car.
too.
Well, one thing this year that I'm putting together that a lot of my fans are excited about is I'm resurrecting pushing my old Wago van. No,
Oh,
I didn't
dude,
know
I
you
forgot.
then.
Yeah, you're a Wago van nerd.
Yeah.
Rutledge Wood from Top
there
Gear
you go.
is like super Wago van
Yes, he
nerd.
is. I like that guy. He's a great chop.
And
Great
the other
chop.
guy who's a super Wago van nerd is that Chris Overzet, who we race lemons with. He's a professional lemons team operator. That's this guy's whole job. He's a fleet of Wago vans and other Hondas, and you
there's
can buy a
fleet of 'em.
seat.
That's pretty cool.
So what are you going to do with yours?
So in 2008, I built this BISIMOTO Wago van, which pretty much set Honda Tech on fire. I built this car to prove something. I had a
This
bad
is so out of the ordinary for you.
well, it kind of what started.
Oh,
so you
fuck,
see the
look at
Wago
that
van
thing.
there.
That's
and-
fire, dude.
Yeah, so
Oh,
it's like,
good.
which is pretty cool.
That's the blue.
Yeah, that's my
The
blue again.
Yeah,
That's my blue
It's
again.
that Honda blue. So a Wago van. First, for those who don't know what a Wago van is, Busy, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's also known in Japan as a shuttle. It's a Civic wagon that Honda made from 1988 through 91. It's very similar to the EE chassis. She has a lot of components with the Civic and CRX from that era. And this thing made 724 horsepower.
What?
Yes.
What?
Which was crazy.
In what year?
Yes.
Oh,
This was in
8?
2008. I put this together.
That had a turbo.
Yeah. Oh, had a turbo bigger than the valve cover. If I don't know if you can find a photo of my
Is that it
engine.
right there?
That's the engine
That's it,
photo
on the
right
left.
there. So you can see right there. That's a
Oh,
photo.
wow, that's a-
and
the
that
top
thing,
left is
yeah.
a-
It's
yeah.
like you see how big that turbo
That's
is.
a big turbo, but not as
compared
big as
to-
I would have thought.
Really? That's a
for
small D
700
series.
and a 4-cylinder.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
are you kidding? The turbo is wider than the
Actually,
engine.
that's a
Yes,
good point.
it's
The
bigger
turbo is the
than my
size
valve
of a
cover.
supercharger, of like a giant Paxton supercharger. That's true.
Huge,
It's huge.
Wow.
So the interesting thing, I built this because someone from a competition we did with Super Street years ago talked crap to me. So I decided to build this to prove a point that I could make a lot of horsepower.
What do they say?
smart
Yo, dude,
displacement.
you can't fit a wastegate that's as big as an air horn. And you were like, fuck you, yes, I can.
It wasn't actually, it was a little bit different from that. I participated in an engine shootout contest that Super Street put together. And I represented them, used a whole network then of different magazines. And they wanted to build an engine that was extremely reliable, could make the most power per liter, but it had to pass a torture test of peak horsepower to peak torque on an engine dyno for 30 minutes.
Whoa.
So I'm like,
Just back and forth, back and forth for 30 minutes.
I'm like, easy peasy. And it had to be streetable.
Wow,
Would
that's
they,
an interesting test.
yes.
Do they allow, what type of cooling do they allow on the engine
Cooling is
dyno?
open.
So you're running
Yes,
a
you can provide-
radiator.
you can run a radiator.
You put a radiator
Put a
in,
radiator.
and then you just put a beast fan right on the radiator.
And we run a spec fuel.
Okay.
And you have to make X amount of power, and it has to be reliable. So
That's really
in,
cool.
In my fashion, I said
what defines? Sorry to interrupt, but I'm curious
worries.
about this
No worries.
test. What defines reliable? Just
it
stays
didn't
alive?
blow up. It didn't
Stays
blow
alive.
up.
Okay.
it didn't blow up.
All right.
Even if it loses power later on, if it stayed together, then you've done well.
And are they putting? They're putting load on it the whole time, right?
How about this, Matt? That test never happened.
Oh, okay. Well.
So that was the premise of the test.
huh.
So I was approached to build an engine, and I decided naturally aspirated because that will last for a long time. And these other shops built turbocharged power plants, with the exception of myself and Cosworth.
That sounds. Yeah, Cosworth.
Yeah, yes, Cosworth when they were out here
Good.
having fun.
That's good
Yeah.
company.
Yeah, of course.
Never heard of them.
No.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, I fared very well. I actually made more horsepower per liter than Cosworth, which is great. However, to my dismay, the torture test was never done. So this one company, great guys, AMS from the Illinois area, put in their drag setup with a flat 4 engine. They made some ridiculous amount of
Subaru
horsepower.
engine?
Subi engine.
Yeah.
And they won the competition. So
If there was a torture
If
test,
there was a torture
dude,
test,
there'd
that would've been a whole
fucking
different
no
story,
way. That'd
you
have
know?
been Dunzo.
and I was
Head
upset.
gaskets go
Yeah.
boo.
I was
They
upset
won
about
the power
that.
number, actually.
I was upset. I think it was.
What do they make?
I think they ended up making from that 2.0. I think they made like 7 something.
Yeah.
Or
That's a-
8, 7.
wow.
something, which is good. So
That's a lot.
For a
It was
Subi,
good.
that's
It
a
was
ton.
good.
That's a
It was
ton.
good.
Yeah.
we go to SEMA for the ceremony. And, the gentleman who owns AMS, great guy, engineer as well. He was very gracious, accepted the award, was very happy, and I congratulated him. One of his workers came to me and said, BC, you had this competition where there were 8 of us and you placed 5th. What was your deal? Why would you bring a knife to a gunfight?
With your NA engine.
Well, my NA, what do you think in building this Accord engine? I made 360, by the way, on the pump gas that they provided and so on and so forth. And
360 on
yeah,
pump gas
yeah.
and a Accord motor's not bad.
So they're like, why would you do this? And when you took the horsepower per liter, I mean, we did better than Cosworth's VQ. But I was proud about that. Like, wow, this Cosworth has so much resources, a lot of engineers, it's just myself,
Yeah.
and I built it. I'm very proud. And I told him the truth. Well, I thought we were going to have a torture test.
Yeah.
So I didn't build a boosted setup.
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, you just built it because that's all you know is NA. I'm like, wait a minute. I tune a lot of customers' cars with Boost. Boost is easier. Oh, no, all you know is NA. And he walked away, and I'm pissed off. So I go to Jonathan Wong, who then was the editor of Super Street, and I said, you know what? You remember my little bucket wagon I have at home? Well, I bought this bucket when I started my company, BISIMOTO Engineering. It was really a bucket. It was this white Wago van, parts car, piece of crap, had a dent in the rear quarter panel. My friends used to make so much fun of me with that car that I even threatened to put pink wheels on it just as a joke. And I went and bought pink wheels and put on it. I was driving around as a parts car. And I said, you remember my little white Wago van with pink wheels? He's like, yeah. Why don't I build an engine? I'll build an engine that is like a big NA setup, and I'll turbocharge it, and I'll make more horsepower per liter than them, and I'll drive it on the street and show them that I can make more horsepower with a boosted setup.
Can we say who the them was? Who was the other shop? Can you say?
It was AMS.
Oh, it was AMS.
Yeah,
oh, all right. Oh, yeah.
Not the owner.
But just a guy who worked
It was
there.
a guy
Okay,
who worked
cool,
there.
yeah.
The owner was a great, gracious guy.
Yeah.
His name escapes me, but one of his workers. And he said, if you do this, BC, I'll cover it. I'll cover 2 articles on this.
Sold.
It went to 6 articles. And it started with me just building this engine. It was really pretty. I put it in the engine bay, and oh, this chassis is ugly. I need to paint it. So I painted the chassis. Oh, that looks good. Let me do the trim.
Yeah,
Now let me do the interior. And it just morphed into this beautiful car. Very clean, very simple. My goal was to make 650. First time on a dyno, it made 701
Nice.
with water methanol and 91.
Uh-huh.
Then the next pass, I did 724, and my spark plugs looked a little speckled. So I guess my 91 wasn't quite enough.
Yeah.
But that's all I needed, and I was so happy. And I documented the whole build on
That's
a
at
budget
the
form.
was that the wheels?
Yeah, to the wheels.
Shit.
To the wheels.
Wait,
And
what does it mean when the spark plugs get spun? You mean they were covered in a little bit of oil? They weren't
no,
combusting?
you know how when you have a little detonation, you get some of that peppering on the porcelain of a spark plug. I was pinging a little bit. You know, it was before the advent of very popular E85 and all that good stuff. And I wanted
now you're all E85, right?
Now I'm mostly all E85.
Yeah.
Mostly
Wow.
all E85.
So what happened to that car?
So it made me very popular. It started my whole boost craze. I sold more camshafts in the world I can ever think of. I started selling a ton of turbos. I started being known as a turbo guy from this one build, which made a lot of people happy and a lot of people upset. Like, how can this piece of crap? I mean, that's when it's impossible. But people started replicating that and getting similar numbers, replicating my build from what I did on the forums. Well, I drove it often. We do live in LA. So on 2 occasions, people try to bore it from me permanently.
Oh, yeah.
So, I come out, I see a bunch of guys around the car from a supermarket, and like, oh, they're admiring. So I'm going up to talk to them about it, and they running away with a Slim Jim. Whoa! So I'm like, okay, this is uncomfortable. So I started parking at the shop, the smaller shop. I don't have the space. I'm like, I can't enjoy this. I'd rather have someone else enjoy it. So I put it up for sale for $8,500.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's less than my engine.
Why?
Oh, shit.
I wanted someone else to enjoy it. I just wanted
What are you,
someone
a
to enjoy it.
charity?
You can say that. My wife gives me a hard time.
Are you the only Nigerian in the world that isn't interested in making money?
No, I knew that if I priced it at 30 grand,
World's only generous
40
Nigerian.
grand, people wouldn't afford it. But I felt
but
that
this-
someone could enjoy it, honestly.
Oh, yeah. So this is why.
But guess
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Guess what? I was getting offers for 2 grand, 4 grand.
Really?
And I said, you know what? This is ridiculous. So someone locally to me offered me like the same amount I wanted for the whole car just for the engine. So I sold the engine, then the gearbox, then I parted it out. Well, I missed that car so much, and hence the genesis of the Odyssey.
Right.
But the Odyssey doesn't have that classic flair.
It's minus the Wago part.
Yes,
That's just fucking
it's just
I
van.
mean, the van must weigh twice as much as the.
More than
the
twice as
hatchet,
much.
too.
So
Yeah.
that
But
being
in
said,
hindsight,
yes.
if you build another Wago van, you don't want a 700 horsepower Wago van.
So,
Don't you want
guess
like a
what?
nice small turbo 350 fun car?
You are so good. So this year, you're asking me about my projects. You're
I
asking
thought
me
he was
about my
gonna be like,
projects.
no, I'm busy. Yeah.
No, you're right. One thing I'm getting recently is people want me to build things that are more, do I say attainable or
A little more
sane,
grounded.
sane?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Nobody wants to drive a fucking SEMA car on the street, bro.
Well,
SEMA cars get you likes on Instagram. Like nobody wants to drive that.
I like my cars as drivers, as you can
No,
see.
like
I love
you can drive your cars around. I'm not saying you can't, but like it's not for someone there's you and then there's your customer.
Understood.
Your customer, wants probably I bet most of your customers want to modify either their only or their second car,
That is
not
a
their
correct
fifth
assumption.
car.
That is correct.
Right?
Well, on the sport compact side. On the European side with the Porsche stuff, the customers who, once in a while, they may drive that car twice a year or something like that, and we go crazy.
But the customer you're talking about wants something they can drive a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to build a Wago van. I'm going to recreate my Wago van for this year. It's going to be at the AEM filtration or induction booth at SEMA. And it will look very similar to what we have, but I'm updating the power plant. So we have a brand new power plant from Honda.
Like a Civic Type R motor stock? That'd be sweet. Did I blow up your spot?
1.5.
That would be dope. Civic Type R motor stock would be gangsters fucking a Wago van.
Oh, it would be. That'd be very
so
cool.
sick. Full front, full drivetrain.
You have to see.
Full suspension, full everything. Full Civic Type R underneath Wago van.
You have to
Sounds
see.
awesome.
But it'd be very impressive.
wanna
And it
drive
won't
it.
be 700 horsepower.
I want to drive
less
it.
than that. You heard it first.
I want to drive
Matt's
it.
going to drive
I
my
do wanna
Wago
drive it.
van.
Heck
With
yeah.
the
Dude,
new
are you
updated
kidding?
powertrain.
I've driven so many awesome Hondas.
Oh,
My
nice.
Honda videos kill.
Oh.
Every fast, I've driven like 300 horsepower naturally aspirated
Yes.
Civic SI street
That
cars.
guy brought up. He has a 2018 Civic Si that I
Who
drove.
did? The same guy?
Yeah, what's his name?
Emmanuel?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you know
it's like
Emmanuel?
a 370
NA
wheel
Performance?
horsepower car.
You have to know this dude.
Maybe facially.
Emmanuel he has a company called NA Performance. It's a little shop somewhere, and he builds big NA power from
nice.
Honda for Hondas.
Nice.
And this guy's brought me 2 different cars, and they were awesome.
Nice.
Totally.
Nice.
I can't believe that he's in your area.
Interesting. Huh.
Emmanuel,
And now
if
he
you're
does.
out there,
Now he does
call me.
turbo work because that's what Honda makes.
Oh,
So what did he bring you?
It was 2018 Civic Si
Nice.
that he had put. That's 370 to the wheels.
Oh, shit.
nice.
Was it
That's
awesome?
So it was quick. It was like the chassis can take it. It felt comfortable, but then you look down at the speedo and you're like, we are going very quick. And so it just had like brakes, wheels, tires, and then his intercooler kit, fuel, tune, full exhaust, of course, and it was making tons of horsepower, but it
Nice.
just felt like the normal amount because that car,
Understood.
and the car's like quiet inside because it's not as tightly sprung as a Civic Type R, and it has a lot of sound deadening.
Yeah.
So it's still like whoosh, quiet, and then you look down, and you're like, fuck.
Oh, it's a
we're
highway
hustling.
missile. That's
Oh,
pretty
totally.
cool.
It was pretty good in the canyons. It needs, it needs like a little bit more tire.
I like
maybe
that
some
highway,
coils
the
and stuff,
highway
but
sleeper status.
It was
That's
it was a very basic build, except the engine
Nice.
was 370. It was a
Nice.
lot.
That dude
Yeah.
was extremely chill. I
Yup.
liked him a lot.
Very
Very
chill.
mellow and just not
His
a
shit works.
care in the world. The shit works.
And you
Beat
loved
them.
his NA cars. I remember those
Dude,
videos.
he made a car that had a car that was I think 330 at the tires. NA. It was fucking awesome.
Nice.
It was like a Formula One engine. It was
Nice.
so cool.
Nice.
It was so rev happy and it was great. That's cool, man. We got a bunch of questions. You
Oh,
want to
cool.
blast through a bit?
Sure.
Are you in a hurry?
No, not at all.
Is,
yeah, for you,
is
sir.
Heidi blowing you up?
Oh,
right now?
no, we're fine.
We got a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Brian, I'm an ME student. Presumably that means mechanical engineering.
Yes.
Tips on entering the car world. I get this a lot. Graduating engineer
Of
wants to
course.
do a fun car job, not a boring car job. What's the advice?
That is something that I get almost every Tech Tuesday as well. And I would say internships. That's the way to go. Companies like ours, many companies that have their tentacles embedded in motorsports and having a lot of fun, they're always looking for great interns. So by all means, apply, offer your services. I don't care if you stuff, even as an ME sweeping the floors, just get in there.
What do you
And,
say when someone
yes.
is like, man, can I get like a job with you or whatever? And you go, maybe you even do need someone at an intern
right.
level. And you go,
Right.
where do you live? And they go, North Carolina.
And
you
we
go,
get that a lot.
Yeah, like
we
what
do
am
get
I?
that a lot.
I get that a bunch too. Like, can I
Understood.
come work with you? And I'm like, where do you live? Idaho. Like, dude. And they go, I'll move to you. And I go, no, do not do that shit.
Understood.
Do you get that too?
I do get it all the time, and luckily there's some people who have family members nearby, and that does work out from time to time. But the majority of the time, if I get someone out in Egypt trying to come to my facility, it just doesn't work out.
In
well,
general,
they should find a local shop of
They
any
would.
kind, right?
Yes, especially one that's respectable. You don't want to go to some of those weird, shady ones. But
No.
but if you really want to be in the
Right.
industry,
Yes.
though, not you might not you're the coolest local shop in wherever you are.
Yes.
If you're not in a major city, could potentially just be a dead end from a career perspective. I'm not talking about they could be good people, but
I agree. I think it could be, if you're curious about what you want to do, if you're like, maybe I want to work in tuning, if there's a local tuning shop, you could like test the water for 6 months and just go, do I want to work in this? If you do, then maybe you should move here because, as we've explained
And
before,
I'm not
this is
necessarily
like the
moving
next
here, but like,
or
maybe you
somewhere
move to
with
Charlotte. Maybe you move to
tons of race engineering over there.
engineering place. Maybe you move to whatever. I don't know, but you do have to go where things are.
Yes.
Absolutely.
To add to your story, we did a thing at Singer a few weeks ago, and Corbin had to bring me a permit, and he'd never been there before. And Corbin's a friend of ours who is running the Formula SAE program at Cal State Northridge.
Oh, nice.
And 2 of the former heads of that department were working at Singer.
Imagine
and he
that.
walked in, he's like, "Oh, I know
There
you guys." So it's like,
See?
yeah, you just, I don't know, follow where other people might have gone and go try it out.
I concur.
Let's see. 2-car garage. My race car, 91 MR2 Turbo, is unbearable on the road with track alignment gutting. Now I can barely enjoy it. What's the medium? What does that mean? What's a middle ground between a race car and a street car? A car with an interior.
Yeah, that gutting does bring a lot of elements into the chassis.
Why do people do that for street cars? Like,
Well, he says his race car.
yeah, I guess it is.
But yeah, I don't know what the medium means, but I
guess
there's a lot of cars that are really fun to drive on racetracks that you can drive on the street.
your Mustang is medium edging toward track car, I would say. Like it's,
My
it's
Mustang's
gutted,
a
but
little
not fully gutted.
Nah, my Mustang's fine. It just sucks in traffic.
Well, yeah, but like that level of interior modification, I
Yeah.
would say, like it's not crazy, but it's performance oriented.
My car has no air conditioning or heat.
Oh,
But did it have that? But it barely had that
Had
when
that-
it came out. To be fair,
It did have both of those things from the factory.
from the '90s, from the
From
early
88.
90s. Right?
Yeah,
So
it doesn't
that's
now.
barely anyway.
But it did. I don't really understand that gentleman's question all the way, but like you can do a lot of track days in a car with an interior.
Here's okay. Today I drove a 2011 Genesis with the 2-liter, and it had brakes, wheels, tires, downpipe, all the normal bolt-ons all around. Not just power, but also brakes and sway bars and coilovers. That's like a medium. Modify every part a little bit,
Right.
but keep it in full interior street trim.
Yeah.
And then you can have your fun and not be uncomfortable.
Yeah. I would say
agree.
that. Oh yeah. This is a recurring commenter. How you doing? Love Busy. The 540i made it to San Francisco intact. This dude logged his 540i repair build, listening to the show under the car. And I'm glad to hear it did well. Full trip log on Instagram. I can't read what that says.
Oh,
exactly.
I can keep reading. It's funny.
Okay.
Almost overheated climbing hills in New Mexico. A desert hair took out my cooling fan.
Oh, no.
Lots of stuff, but I made it! Exclamation point. NorCal one takes win.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations. If you come down, I will put Zach in that shit box 100%.
I'm gonna do a NorCal trip in the fall because there's a bunch of emails up there.
If Zach wants to do it, it's great. I'm beyond 540s.
But it doesn't have a cooling
I have
fan.
a McLaren 720S coming on Thursday. We don't need to talk about 540s. Oh yeah.
Okay.
You know who's coming is that Savage Geese dude is coming. He's another YouTuber who does he does car reviews, but he even puts cars up on lifts and talk about engineering.
Whoa, cool.
Yeah, he's coming to town too, so he'll be in. What's the next one?
This one.
Oh, while the bi-turbo Boxster is amazing, I remember you originally toyed with a high-revving NA M96 build. If you had gone that route, what would you have done? Tips on building a high-revving engine.
So what I would have done on that, because thing is that I'm entrenched. My roots are natural aspiration. Period. I love this stuff. I love the sound. I'm really intoxicated by that push to pass button that's in my Boxman now, so that gives me a big edge with the turbocharging. But if I was to stay NA, one thing I noticed on those M96 engines are the hydraulic buckets are very heavy, so they don't lend themselves very well to high revving capability. I would convert that to solid buckets to make it much lighter, use much larger camshafts, and the valve train is also a weak point on those engines. I would address that as well. The board
Is it
stroke ratio,
worthwhile to start with an M96 to do? M96, by the way, is the shitty Carrera motor that
You
everyone
say that.
hates because they blow up.
Well-
He loves them, but the rest of the Porsche world hates them. So
And he's also just listed a lot of things to fix.
he's also
beforehand.
listed a lot of things that you have to do.
to improve on. Now
But
the
like-
thing is that here's the thing: my Porsche files, my fellow Porsche files are very spoiled. They really are.
They
I
are.
come from a world where we just talked about the Integra a moment ago, and if you want to modify an Integra, even an OBD0 Integra with the old engines and so on and so forth, you have to address the shortcomings. It's just what we do. In the Porsche world, my peers are very spoiled because they expect an engine to be perfect from factory. every engine, performance or
You
not,
said
has
that
shock
was so
cover.
condescending. It was
No,
great.
but no, it really is.
Like
It's-
all customers are British.
it is. You know, it's the percentage of M96 engines that have failures with IMS or RMS were very few. It was a low percentage. But some individuals have made a great business out of scaring Porsche people into thinking that they have to upgrade so many things. But the key to making power is the head. The head flows amazingly well. I love the head flow in the M96 engines, and that's where the power is. The head of the M96 flows better than a 996 turbo head.
Huh.
So you can make a lot of power.
So
with
by
that. So
turboing the M96,
it's a match made in heaven. It really is. It's about air. Now, that doesn't mean you cannot address the shortcomings with the de-chunking of the sleeves. You can, put ductile iron sleeves. You can address the IMSs. You can address all the shortcomings. And after that, you have a pretty robust power plant. It's really nice. So to make it a screaming high horsepower, high RPM monster, just takes addressing some more shortcomings. Valve train, larger camshafts, lighter buckets, and you have a nice engine in your hands.
Is there another engine you could buy from them off the rack that requires less modification, that's like a better value, or is that still where you would start?
Your keyword value is where
Yeah.
the challenge is, because if you get the late model GT3 engine, that would, you could build multiple M96s for that.
Yeah.
So,
But
it's
you're
value.
also talking about, if I heard you correctly, you need to pull the block and sleeve it.
Yes, that's correct.
So that
still pales in
an
comparison to buying a 991 GT3 engine.
Yeah. That's
true.
It's just Porsche tax is pretty hefty.
Yes, it is. Even for my 89, you should see what it cost me to get like 25 wheel horsepower.
I believe it. I believe it.
No, yeah, it is. Porsche tax is hard, and actually, Porsche tax may get harder if this stupid.
Yeah. Just leave it alone.
If Orange Man gets his
Yeah.
25% tariff, we are all in huge trouble. All of us are in deep, deep shit. Seriously,
Yeah, no, I
anyone
know.
who likes cars or parts, we're all in deep shit.
or works in a factory that makes foreign cars
Or anything. Yeah, we're all in
the
deep
United
shit.
States. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Paul. Just wanted to say what's up to Busy and make you some bonkers cars. Thank you for the donation.
Greetings.
Greg's thought. Greg McNamara.
Neymar.
Thoughts on a summer fun car that will also see 4 to 8 track days a year. 911 Carrera 2S with track and appearance upgrades, or a stock GT3.
Stock GT.
A
I
GT3,
think
I
you
say the
should-
same thing.
Whatever car you want, like if there are multiple versions of that car, I believe you should always start with the heaviest duty one you can afford if you're doing track work. Like a GT3 just has so much shit that is so much more than putting nice coilovers on a Carrera 2. Right, Busy?
I
Start
agree.
with GT3, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Start with GT3.
Absolutely.
Or start with a turbo. Turbos are in some cases cheaper than GT3s and really, really fun.
Anything that's built from the factory for performance use.
Yeah.
And it could be little things that we don't even know about, like it could be bushings, it could be hoses, all these little things that withstand that.
To this point, I just learned from Lotus. So with my long-term Lotus loan, that Evora that I had.
Yes.
So I wanted to switch during my loan. I wanted to switch from Super Sport tires to Cup 2 tires, and they said this is cool. You know we can do this, no problem, and they did, and it was fine, and that story, for those of you listening live, goes up tomorrow. But they said one of the things you get with the Sport 410, which comes with Cup 2 tires, are heavier duty control arms, heavier duty wheel bearings, heavier duty shit to cope with the loads. And they said, you can do one track day in this 400 and it'll be fine on these tires. But if you were going to do track work, the reason we don't sell an optional Cup 2 on the 400 is because if you only ever ran Cup 2s and went to the track a lot, you'd break a bunch of shit. Whereas the 410, we don't really brag about heavier duty control arms and wheel bearings, but when we sell you an upgraded tire from the factory, the durability standards at 100% beat the shit out of this have been met. So that's why if you're going to do track work and you should afford a GT3 or a turbo, it's designed for those higher loads.
That's something I'm only just learning about with power, if you add a lot of power, you'll find a weak link. It could be a half shaft, it could be in the transmission or something, but then even with cornering, you're
Remember
exerting
my
a lot
wheels,
more
dude?
force.
Remember my wheels?
Oh, yeah.
Corvette?
Oh, yeah.
So I had a guy make me a one-off set of wheels in New York. And the at the time, you couldn't buy a wheel for a Corvette that had a lip and would clear a big brake kit.
Okay.
You could have one or the other.
Right.
And I wanted both, God damn it. And I had someone make me something that worked.
Okay.
And I had put Goodyear F1 tires on it, and I wasn't I wasn't like a terrible driver, but I wasn't like a pseudo bullshit racing driver guy like I am now. And so I didn't know what the limit of that car was at the time. So driving it on the highway and driving it on some back roads and going to like a track day but not being very good with not good tires, it was okay. Well, then I got a set of Pilot Super Sports. Oh. And the first time I went to the canyons, I snapped the spokes of the wheels.
Oh, my.
So it just wasn't designed for any kind of a real load. And so that's just another example of that same thing. Anyway. Zachary Bennett, Busy. What engine configuration is best to modify for efficiency? Your affinity for H pattern. What does that mean? H pattern.
Well, it must be the
has me
gearbox.
curious about internal friction coefficients. Your affinity for H pattern gearboxes?
Must be.
Why are they efficient? More efficient than other gearboxes?
No, by all means, I'm a huge advocate of straight cut, dog engagement, and sequential gearboxes. But, and to talk about internal friction coefficients, that depends on what component in the gearbox you're talking about. But let's take a step back to your first part of your question. The engine configuration that best to modify for efficiency. And believe it or not, of all the engines that I've played with...
Wait, is he talking about inline 4 versus a post cylinder? Is that H? I mean, I know that Porsches are 6-cylinder, but H is that like Subaru, like a post cylinder?
Well, when he says internal friction coefficient,
if you're still here, Zach,
H
comment in the free comments about to clarify this statement.
Yeah.
What would you say in general? What is the best engine configuration to modify for efficiency?
It'd be the Honda K series. The Honda K series, not the current gen, but not the K20Cs, but the early K20As, K24s. They're for.
Does someone modify for efficiency? Do people come say, Busy, can I give you $2,000 to make my car be 5 miles per gallon better?
Actually, we get a lot of that with some of the road racers who do enduro racing.
Oh, okay. Fair.
So that being said...
and what are some of the solutions aside from swapping in a Honda K series? What do you do
Remember how I talked about coatings before?
Oh, okay.
Extensive use of coatings and playing with some lean burn conditions with engine management solutions as well, and giving them switches that they can initiate lean burn conditions.
Oh,
when cruising. So
in eco mode switch.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's money.
That's
So
cool.
we do some really cool things with that. So
that's money.
That's an engine we found to be very useful, and with the roller rockers and so on and so forth, it does a great job.
Okay, Zach, if you're still there, comment about the H pattern thing, and we'll try and come back to you.
Please do.
Jason, love the show. Can you talk about the use of hybrids for more than gas mileage? They do it in supercars. When is it going to trickle down? Can I drop one real quick?
Yes, please.
An unidentified fan sent me a picture today, and I'm not going to share the picture because it could lead to a person who it probably shouldn't lead to. But they had the Ferrari, and it was not driven, and it was left on a tender for quite some time, and the hybrid battery pack died. And the bill was $67,000.
Oh my!
To do what for the service?
To replace.
You can't charge it up. You can't.
I don't. It was
Do you
to
think
replace.
do you think Ferrari picks it up and then they plug it into a special charger and then they charge you $67,000?
I don't know
It's pure
what they do,
speculation.
but that was the bill.
What?
That's what I was told.
Do they make a new battery out of the ground?
I don't know.
Do they dig
Wow.
up?
I don't. Here's why I
cobalt?
don't. Here's why I don't
What?
feel bad, because if you got one, you got it at sticker. The second you took it home, it was worth double, and we're
Right.
talking about $1 million.
I mean, yeah,
So
it's not like the person
if-
can't afford it, but just the
But
fact that
still.
a battery died and the
60
solution
The battery died,
is
and
a
the
Jaguar.
The solution is Jaguar. Yes.
Maybe that's what they do. They
Yes.
get a Jaguar, they put it on a generator roller, and then they charge it.
Yeah.
What?
So the downside of hybrid supercar powertrains. Wah wah. Busy. Your thoughts?
Well, I love hybrids.
Do you?
I do, because I understand. Well, first, I like going fast. I love it. I also understand the advantages that electric motors give us when on their own or combined with internal combustion engines. The opportunity to have immediate torque at 1 RPM is absolutely, it makes me salivate. I love it.
So you're excited about electric turbos, I imagine.
I am.
Okay.
Well, that's what my question for you about your insight
Yes.
would be so apropos for you to turn it back into a hybrid.
That's a great
But a fast
idea,
one.
actually.
Like
Of
what
course.
if
I wouldn't have it
instead of
either
them
way.
little fucking bicycle tires you got on the back, what
Hey,
if
that's
you
what
put
dragster.
what if you tubbed it out
Right.
with a beast electric motor in the back, and you had, instead of slicks and skinnies, what if you had slicks and slicks, and then you'd have a parallel hybrid. Crazy, yeah. See,
Man,
Front-wheel
I
drive or rear drive?
really like how you
see,
think.
I'm a fucking rainmaker.
like
I
how
can't
you
know. I don't
think.
know how to build any of that shit, but that'd be fun.
I like how, would you drive it if I built it?
Yeah, fuck yeah,
Okay.
dude. Did you see that Teslonda thing?
No, I'm not familiar with this.
These guys, these like Silicon Valley guys, they're not actually. They're
Oh,
from
the
Reno.
Cord, the Cord.
They put
Yeah,
81,
yeah.
81 Accord with a Tesla P90 motor in it. There it is. It runs 9s
I
apparently.
saw that thing.
And what they
Bananas.
said was really interesting because I was like, how the hell does this thing? It doesn't have a cage or anything. It's just like a little nothing. I said, how does this not like tear itself apart? And there's, because it's not a front engine, there's no torsion.
Understood.
It's all run in the same thing. So it doesn't have that.
that's fascinating.
It doesn't have the chassis twist. It just
course.
squats and
Wow.
goes.
It just goes straight forward.
naturally. It doesn't need any extra chassis bracing. Isn't that wild?
Looks rad.
yeah.
Wow, I love gassers.
So
man.
like
That
it
thing's
would
so
be
cool.
it would be pretty interesting if you turned the Insight back into a hybrid.
that would
could
be
be fun.
interesting.
I don't
have
know.
to talk to some of my
Hybrids
partners.
are cool.
Yeah.
Zach clarified in the
Okay.
comments, by the way, he meant like a Boxer H versus an inline versus a V. That's what he versus for making power.
Okay. Well,
Oh
one
no,
thing,
for efficiency. For
Oh,
efficiency.
efficiency. One thing I do like about the flat engines is that you don't get those fifth level harmonics that exist with inline engines or Vs. So they're very balanced. That's why you
Is
typically
that how
don't see
you
them.
describe that?
Is that bad?
No. I mean, I've never known how to scientifically describe the difference in refinement from a Porsche engine to a V engine. Can you explain that in more
That's
detail?
why they have harmonic balancers on crankshafts, right?
Because
Right.
there are certain frequencies that are generated that can be quite detrimental to the crankshaft and components on the engine itself. And V's and inline fours experience those harmonics, while flat engines don't. They cancel out. So that's why you typically don't see any balancers or any kind of devices that absorb energy on the snout of the crankshaft.
What did you call it? A fifth level
Yeah,
harmonic?
fifth harmonic, yes.
Oh,
Those
is
are
that-
the ones that are very damaging crankshafts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Is it harmonic because it's vibrating the engine ever so slightly? Like
That is
on an
correct.
inline four, if piston 1 is moving up and 4 is moving down, even though they're going opposite, it seems like it would cancel out, but it's still
Yes.
like a slight
and there's a twist that occurs in the
Torquing.
crank.
Yeah.
And when we get to a certain frequency, it shatters it or could break it or break
Whoa.
components in the engine. So that's why you have these dampers that you may see from ATI or
What
fluid
about in
damper,
a
all that good stuff.
V12? Is a V12 closer to... Because aren't V12s
Like,
particularly
I think they're
well
like the best
balanced? I think they're the best balance.
To be honest with you, I haven't.
is.
I haven't.
No, but I think you're right. Like
I
it
haven't
is.
explored those. I haven't. I
think
since I've never
V12s
built
are.
one, I
because
haven't explored.
because
those
inline
at all.
sixes are very smooth,
Yes.
idling or
Yes.
running engines, and now you have two of them.
Understood.
They maybe cancel each other out more. And wasn't there some old Bentley that was like a straight 8 or something that was like set a glass of champagne on it and it doesn't vibrate? I think they did that Top
Probably.
Gear or something.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. That's interesting. I think the flat engines are powerful and efficient, right?
Yes.
The
So
Porsche
of all
engines are.
those, I love Porsche 6s. I really do, especially the Metzger ones, the old school Metzger ones. I love those quite a bit. But when it talks about efficiency, you're gonna kill me, Matt. I'm still partial to M engines. I really am.
What kind of it?
The M.
Oh, the M96.
I'm really
I don't
partial
care.
to them. I really am.
You know
I
better
really
than
am.
me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
partially.
I'm an expert on fucking fuck all.
Oh,
Honestly, I'm an expert on nothing. Well, I drove the car. Hey, busy. It rubs. That's me. That's my level of expertise. The car did this thing. Okay, the car. Right. Put that in a sentence. Yeah. Okay. Wait. So that person's actual question was, when will performance hybrids trickle down?
Oh, it's happening.
I think eventually.
Yeah, it's happening already. It's
Yeah.
actually happening.
What's the cheapest performance hybrid you can buy right now?
That Hyundai Ioniq I have outside.
Yeah.
The CRZ, remember that car?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
He's got a
Do you know what we
CR
did with the CRZ?
Oh, dude.
Oh, I still have it in the house too.
I think we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about doing putting together a giveaway?
Yes, we did.
We did when I was there. So he's got this CRZ that makes like 350 at the wheels.
Sweet.
When I first built it, it did 533, but we kept breaking gearboxes.
Makes
So
sense.
I put a
Yeah.
smaller turbo on this thing, and now it's about 352. It's awesome.
Wow,
It's
that's
awesome.
But it has
cool. I like that car.
no
2,000
miles
miles
on
on it. I don't drive.
And it still has a hybrid
Yeah.
setup.
Still active. Yeah.
it. Right. So
Great.
he was like trying to clear out some room in the shop,
Yeah.
and I thought like, oh, maybe we should like do a giveaway or something for it. Like that could be fun.
I think so.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, no fucking warranty, but I don't know.
Dude, that'd be real fun.
The motor, I'm sure, will work, but
Yeah.
like gearbox, I don't know. You're on your own,
You're on your
buddy.
own.
But it's got 2,000. It was nice and clean. It had a giant ass turbo on it. Fucking
That's
cool.
really
It
cool.
wasn't that big.
Did yours
I mean,
come with a back seat
any
or
turbo is a
the
giant turbo,
shelf
man.
for the back seat
Only the
without the
shelf.
back
So it's
seat?
just
Yeah.
two-seaters. So it's two-seater.
It's very funny how they did
I mean,
Yeah.
Something's
there's
happening outside.
Some stuff's going down outside. The sirens are going. We're like on the edge of the shady. We're like, right, it's good, get good now, but there could be some shady. There's like elements of shady. Let's see. Elusive Auto Co. Wants to know, Busy, when starting your business, what percentage of your time was focused on cars and product, and what percentage on marketing and branding?
Well, if they're a secretive auto company, that's probably not
Elusive.
helping them. You can't
Make
find this
yourself
fucking guy.
easier to find, brother.
Well, Elusive, I opened my doors to the public in 2006, and I am guilty of being a pure engineer, meaning I dedicated absolutely no time to marketing and branding. I just built my CRX and continued to expand on my insight at the time. And what happened because of my success on the track, naturally add more traction to my company. So I didn't put any side or any time aside to focus purely on branding. It's just I didn't know any better. Now, fast forward to today, I put almost 60% of my time into marketing and branding and a little bit less into the engineering aspect, only because I have to nowadays to do that to maintain the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Good tips.
Mm-hmm.
Good tips. And would you say if you could do it over again, how would you do it?
I'd probably adhere to what I'm doing today. Put more effort into marketing and branding because it's everything.
From the beginning.
From the beginning, because people have to be attracted to your brand to be able to get interest.
You
And
mean-
that may have changed the course of my business quite a bit too. Because
Yeah.
that'll force me to do more mainstream stuff
Yeah.
than things I love to do, which are pretty unique.
You got a little too much time to think.
There you go. There you go. Yes, sir.
Little too much.
Curious
While
kid.
I'm in here, I might as well. Can you scroll down a little, Tim? I can't. I'm behind a mic stand there. Charlie says, with newer cars having more electronics taking over the driving experience, how hard would it be to go a center drive for a car like a Cayman GT4? Well, we just saw that. What was that? A 997-2?
Yes.
There was a 997-2 we looked at, convertible with a center drive. So somebody did it in a modernish car. How hard do you think it would be to do it in a newer car?
It gets more and more difficult because newer cars have a lot of interaction between the power distribution modules and CAN modules throughout the entire car. So if it's something that's full track duty, you can get rid of all that stuff and run a full standalone and have some fun. Even with some cars that are from factory direct injected, we have retrofitted port injection to make it easier to use commercially available engine management solutions. But if you want something to stay with all the creature comforts and amenities from factory and look factory, and it's very cost prohibitive. Can be done, but extremely expensive.
What do you think that guy dumped into that cab?
A pretty penny.
I mean, there's got to be
Like a
hundreds
lot of
of
money.
wires behind that dash.
Yeah,
you know,
by all
with
means.
all the different
Yeah.
systems.
I mean, if it's not like if it's really functional components there, then he put a lot of money into that.
What about if you started, just curiosity question, with like a GT4 Club Sport that already had like minimal interior?
It'll be much easier.
A lot easier,
It'll be
right?
much easier, yeah.
If it doesn't need to look
Yeah. 'Cause
finished at
ultimately,
the end.
you're moving wires, right? So I mean, you would just have to. Do you want to extend or change the length of 100 or 200 wires
Understood.
so all the computers can keep talking?
You would have to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with mad driving, I would need to make sure that the power brakes
Power
are
brakes
active.
work,
That's very important.
You're gonna like them. You make fun. You're gonna like.
I
'em.
know I will. I know I will.
I bet it would be really hard to do it with a modern car. And even so, the resources it would take to put the
Yes.
interior back together
Might as well get a new
correctly,
car.
it would be so hard.
Yeah.
Thanks though, Nick O'Brien. I saw the Odyssey and Busy is great. He heard that part too. I saw the Odyssey at Mecum a couple years ago. As exciting as the Ferraris and 2000 GT. I've driven Ferraris and I agree. Zach, best roads for an R53 Mini around Boulder.
The only ones I can remember
in Colorado
were there's like Coal Creek Canyon, I think, which is south of Boulder, near Golden, and then just go up to the mountain. That was
Isn't
real fun
Loveland
and tight.
Pass up there? Can't you go?
Loveland Pass is good.
Yeah, Loveland Pass is a good one.
If you go on like during the week when it's not like ski traffic, but north of Boulder, headed towards Lyons, I think it was. That's where we used to go ride motorcycles and drive all the time. Everything around there is good because
You're in fucking Colorado. You're in the Rockies.
Yeah. And the car community is not big, so everyone's cycling, but just go further than them, and everything's awesome.
It's got to be like, drive towards the ski areas and then turn off.
Turn
the
off.
70.
Just
and
look for a squiggle on Google Maps, and you'll find something fun for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Just pull up Google Maps and look off the highway for some squiggly shit.
That's all you need.
And then just Google images, zoom in and street view it, make sure it's like a real place and whatever, and look real road. Check
Just
the
go
tarmac,
exploring because it's
and
gorgeous.
Just go exploring.
It's gonna be pretty.
You got a great car and you're in Colorado. Just go drive and get lost. You'll find it.
Yeah.
Was there anything else there, Tim? Was that it? I thought I saw something else at the bottom.
Yeah, the weird one.
The weird one?
Ooh.
Oh.
What?
That is.
I was gonna hide it, but
Someone
No,
is
you
a
know what?
genius.
It's funny enough that I'll actually say it.
or they can
but
call
is
us and give us real money.
This is the first and only time that I'll ever say this out loud on this show. So don't take this as an inspiration to keep. Actually, do
This is hilarious.
do this, but I won't read it. And the username is CNN, and the comment says, "We are the most trusted name in news," which is very funny for somebody. That's a very good one. Keep posing as other networks, but I'm not gonna read it.
That's hilarious.
Oh man, that's funny. Busy. What do you want to plug anything specifically? Just social media channels?
Absolutely. So you guys can reach me at my IG handle, being Instagram at BISIMOTO. You can also find me on everything from Tumblr to Twitter.
On Tumblr? What do you do on Tumblr?
I tumble things.
He's got his wish list for interior.
If I go to your Tumblr and it's just you rolling shit across the shop floor,
Hey, that's
I'll
all.
laugh.
You know, I like coming here. Matt is just filling me with so much inspiration. He's being a very bad influence on me. But yes, BISIMOTO is my handle on Instagram, on Tumblr, on Twitter, and on Facebook.
And YouTube channel as well.
And YouTube
as
channel,
well.
of course.
And of course, you're in Ontario. Right?
Yes.
Are you Ontario?
The center of the universe, Ontario,
California. If you're local and have an idea for a build, there is nothing that this man will not attempt to build for you. Do you like an adventurous customer?
I do, especially
Who's
the
your
OEMs.
favorite
especially the
kind
OEMs.
of the OEMs?
Yeah, they allow me to express myself.
Yeah.
And my team, all of us express ourselves through automotive creations. I mean, think about it. For Hyundai to allow me to do a rear-wheel
it's
drive
so
conversion,
nice.
that's really cool. For Honda to allow me to, even though it was against everything they believed in the tuner community. As a matter of fact, quick fact, the gentleman who signed on me building this Odyssey got his hand slapped initially, saying it was a really stupid idea.
Really?
That he should build a Civic Si. Why would you build a tuner van? That's the most, and now it's been the best, most popular project I've ever had.
How quick
which
was
is
that
great.
contract?
Yeah. Exactly.
No,
So it's good. I love that.
That's nice. When the process of like pitching, do you pitch the builds to them, or do they say, "Hey, Busy, we want to see your creative touch applied to this new thing we have this
It's
year"?
a combination of the two, especially if the manufacturer has a model that is not very appealing to the masses.
Oh yeah, because you love the unloved.
Exactly.
Give
And,
me the Santa Fe.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Give me the CRZ
Can
that
you,
everyone thinks is rubbish. So at the time.
You find Sloth hidden away in the basement and go, "Hey, Sloth is really strong. Come with us."
Did I don't think I saw any SEMA cars happening. Oh, I saw the one car that had no body on it. Was that it? I'm not going to say what it was, but it had the body
Yes,
removed
that's
off
one
it.
of 5 this
That's
year.
you're doing 5?
Yeah, I'm crazy.
It's June and there was only one being worked on.
That's
no, there
it's
were
a
quite a
SEMA
few.
car.
Oh, there were?
You didn't look around very much. I think you were in a bit of a hurry or something. No,
Did I miss something?
Yeah, you missed a couple of things,
Oh,
but it's
no.
good. It's cool. It's cool.
Okay.
It's going to
Well-
be an interesting SEMA.
Will
Hey, I've done 7 cars in 1 year, so that's
Jesus, what year was that? The minivan year?
That was the minivan year. I had 4 cars that year.
What was the 7?
The 7 was in 2015. 2015.
Uh-huh.
There's quite a few.
That was the
cars.
year after minivan
Yes,
year,
that's
right?
correct. It was
that
really,
was the Hyundai year,
yes.
right? Okay.
And we had 2 Fits, which is, that'll give you an example.
2 Fits.
2 Honda Fits.
Were all the cars under the Bisi name, or were you building like an engine for someone whose SEMA car was going
They
under
were
something
all
else?
BISIMOTO cars in different booths.
Okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, which is, I wouldn't do that again though.
That's a lot of SEMA
Never.
cars.
That was a bit much.
You take
I
December off?
No.
You didn't chill for no beach after that, huh?
Matt, I really love what I do. Honestly, it doesn't feel like work to me. I
Do
have
you
a great
like-
time.
do
I don't
you
like
like
the
SEMA?
stress. I like SEMA a lot.
You do.
I do. I really do. It's really the place where us tuners put our best foot forward. Is where people all around the world get together and showcase their talents. It's really a great place to be.
I need to be less jaded about SEMA.
Well, yeah, it depends. I mean, going to it, it's like logistically it is difficult, and it can be a tiring week.
It is.
But it is where everyone gets a blank piece of paper and
Yes.
just go, hey, draw
you
whatever
do
you
see
want.
some really, really gnarly stuff.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. And Chinese tires.
Oh, I saw that. I saw Falcon tires once.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, come down. Have you been? Trademark infringement has been in South Hall.
Exactly.
Have you seen-
sea level?
Have you seen Michelin? We have some
Oh,
Michelin
Michelin. There you
tires.
go. There you go.
We have some great years.
There you go.
The trademark. It's so what's that web? Is it Formula Derp that does a T-shirt every year for SEMA? And then, like 1 year it was like the Overfender Nationals.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
I think the trademark infringement World Series or something would be a good one. Oh man, Bisi, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure
again.
being here, sir.
And thank you for
Thank
driving
you.
all the way across LA for
No
it. I
worries.
appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
I hope poor Heidi hasn't been waiting outside too long. We told her we'd be done at 5:30. It is not 5:30. She'll understand if some people start calling with money.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think she'll
Absolutely.
get that.
Absolutely.
Man, you have had a crazy fucking life, dude.
The best is yet to come.
I'm sure it is.
Honestly, it
I'm
is.
sure it is. You are young and healthy, and
Thank you, sir.
and really enjoy working.
Thank you.
Busy, ladies and gentlemen, or gentlemen. Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Although, is it fucking down?
It's back now.
Okay, cool. Chris had a oopsie.
It got it's people start spam hacking it or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
Chris is fighting off attacks, but it's fixed. Smoking Tire Podcast is back again, powered by Shout Engine. Get your own podcast at shoutengine.com. You know the drill. It's easy. It takes 5 minutes to sign up. It gets you on iTunes and Google Play with less than 24 hours. You just need a microphone, a computer of some kind. Not even. You can use a smartphone and something to say. Good night, kids. Thank you very much. Good night, guys. Live people. Thank you for joining us as well.